Hi. Hi. You're here for JavaScript, huh? Okay, cool. Well, I'm Christina Adams. I'm uh, what am I? A manager of digital accessibility now at Site Improve. I've been a developer and designer for a long time. Yeah, I figured we'd do an advanced session on JavaScript and see how it goes. Oh, that's me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's really washed out. Cool. All right. So see where I'm at. Sorry, I'm trying to get set up here. And there's gonna be so this is the long form session, right? So this is like gonna go till 11:30, I think. Um, totally okay if you all like in and out, ditch out. This is a marathon, it feels like. So please feel free. You're not gonna offend me whatsoever. So people can come in and out as much as they want. We're gonna take some breaks too, obviously. Um, I kind of pivoted last night when I was thinking about this session. So I'm hoping we can make this pretty collaborative. I don't know, is everybody a developer or has experience writing JavaScript specifically? Okay, cool. Right. So some of you we're going to cover some stuff you're already doing, but I think we want to talk about why this is important to accessibility in the first place. I'm seeing as doing consulting work and stuff, more and more of these kind of storytelling sites that are popping up. A lot of them built in systems that use Canvas and things like that that are pretty out of our control at the moment. We're not going to get too deep into that. I kind of wanted to take a step back into just thinking about the core functionality pieces of using JavaScript in highly interactive sites. We could do a whole like follow-up session someday on WebGL and stuff. That seemed too far to me. So hopefully we can do this pretty collaboratively. I kind of went back to some basics of like toggling states and things like that. So yeah, just we'll see where we get to with this. But I'd love this to be kind of dynamic between the group. So we've got the Zoom chat up. Hopefully we can use that. I was thinking about creating a Slack channel too, but like we'll see where we go with this to help with coding, coding suggestions, things like that. So nothing like 8:30 a.m. and being like, let's do some live coding in a conference for 3 hours, but we're gonna see how it works. This is a little bit of an experiment on my part. Well, let's start with the PowerPoint at least and see where we go. This is gonna be the most chaotic session I've ever done here, so you guys are all in luck. Oops. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
like for the advanced level or like what is the expectation as a prerequisite?
Yeah, great question. So my plan right now, and I kind of pivoted. It's going to be advanced. We're going to collaboratively write some script. If that's and so you can do it on your own if you want. Do it in your own space, or we can participate and post in the chat or provide suggestions, shout out answers, things like that, as we kind of create some of these dynamic widgets.
So do we start from basics or we are just starting from the advanced?
We're gonna walk into it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we'll be okay. Yeah.
So can I go to your Zoom? Is your Zoom
Yeah.
camera on?
It is not.
Can you cut your Zoom camera on?
Okay, sure.
That's what it is.
Do we need a?
I think the Zoom camera maybe is off.
Do you need to see my face up close? Okay.
That camera usually is on, but for some reason
Oh.
it's not.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Showing some.
All right. Great. Now I get to stare at my face too. No, it's all good. I'm gonna swap displays. There we go. Okay. We'll get this camera figured out in just a second. So for those of us in the room, I kind of asked this question already to some of you, but some of you came in. But familiar with writing code, JavaScript widgets? Okay. Curious what you want to get out of this session. Why'd you show up to a JavaScript session? Anybody? I'll repeat it.
Usually JavaScript, like there are multiple ways how you can use it
Yep.
and abuse it,
Yeah.
and there are different guidelines. So it's always
Yeah.
what are the best practices, what are maybe some new ways
Sure.
that I wasn't thinking about, and just
Yeah.
very, very
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for best practices and other just, because there's so many ways to make something, right? Yeah.
Make or break.
Make or break something, yeah, yeah. So some of these will be pretty pretty standard, I will say. Like I think we'll cover things like drop downs, navigations, some accordions, things like that, where we're just kind of doing some really simple things, toggling states, just to start off with. Ooh. Okay, sorry, I got to pop up. So we'll do some of that where it's pretty just getting familiar with what we do with JavaScript to make like accessibility enhancements. And then I think what I want to also do is I have some really highly interactive sites that I want to do a design review on. So I'll sprinkle those in occasionally. So we'll look at these highly interactive sites and talk about what we might do for functional requirements for that. Because I think that's interesting more than writing some basics. So I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. So that's kind of the plan today. So and I was thinking about, I have a GitHub repository started with just some HTML pages with JavaScript at the bottom of it as kind of just practice spaces. And I'm like, I could get all of you set up on your own machines doing that coding yourself, or we could just collaboratively come to agreements and live code. So it's kind of up to you. I'm going to leave it up to you in the room to decide what path we want to take. I kind of like the idea of a collaborative code experiment here, but it's cool. Either way. So how about in the chat? Anybody in the chat, what do you want to see out of this session? Any particular topics that we might want to cover with this? This is pretty open-ended, so that's why I ask. See if anything comes in. We're still having camera problems. Oh, I kind of see it. Cool. All right. I think we got it. Sweet. So we've got an accessibility. Here, let me bring this over in the main window. Maybe. Oh, no. So we've got an accessibility tester, former developer. I want to see accessibility features, or how accessibility features are being implemented so that I can help my developers remediate the accessibility issue. Very cool. Yeah, this will be helpful, I think, especially with some of the more kind of basics. Some of these are getting pulled out of like the ARIA patterns guide and things like that. So cool, awesome. Thank you for responding. All right. I know it's hard to be collaborative and think about JavaScript at 8:30 in the morning. I get notifications. I gotta turn that off. Okay. I flew in at 11 o'clock last night, so I'm also scrambling.
It's still arriving.
I'm still arriving, it's true. And I decided to change a bunch of my slides last night too, so that's a self-imposed problem. All right. Great, okay, so I have a couple slides to start us off with to start thinking about it, hopefully get a little bit of dialogue warm-up going on for sure. And then we'll move, and I have the wrong deck. Jeez. See, I'm still on the plane, because that's the wrong deck. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, that's better. Okay, so JavaScript-heavy sites are not automatically inaccessible. I think that's something to think about, because I do get a lot of accessibility professionals in particular having this feeling, right? That we got to not use JavaScript as much. We've got to keep it really basic HTML. That's true in a lot of cases, but these highly interactive JavaScript sites are just becoming the norm, right? There's a lot of agencies and marketing communities out there that are making these extreme interactive sites, which are not super accessible because they've got a lot of stuff going on, they've got a lot of moving parts, and can honestly be a little overwhelming, to be totally honest. We'll see a couple in these design reviews that I'm going to sprinkle into this session, but it doesn't automatically mean that it's inaccessible, right? It can often break accessibility, however, right? So a lot of these JavaScript implementations, they're not considering the default experience, right? The default experience is this crazy, idealistic everybody experiencing this highly motion centric or like kind of functional site, right? That's what they're coding to, and there's no other option. And I think that's where the disconnect is happening, to be totally honest. So if we're thinking about these really basic JavaScript functionality implementations for interactivity in websites first, and then going to that space of highly interactive, you know, engaging content, we're going to be in a better spot, right? Like we're going to be in a better spot if we're taking these into considerations, even if the goal is this insanely immersive experience, right? So that's kind of the point where I started this thought process for this particular workshop. We'll see how it goes. JavaScript applied appropriately can build accessibility functionality where it's missing when not available as semantic HTML, right? So that's the core of the ARIA patterns guidance, the way ARIA spec. It's to help enhance semantic HTML, right? So right now what we're seeing is there's two trains of thought. There's semantic HTML, and that's boring, right? Like it's very basic. And then there's these immersive JavaScript experiences. There's somewhere in between that we need to start pushing for. And I think there are pieces we can pull from both sides to make those highly interactive experiences useful for someone with assistive technology. So, what common barriers, so a question to the group, what common barriers have you experienced in these highly interactive web pages? So, anybody have experience with a site that they were just floored by the amount of stuff happening in it that's JavaScript based, that they raised some red flags for them, or barriers, or straight up barriers for you? And we've got a microphone we'll pass, so I don't have to repeat because I'm very bad at that. Ilsan.
I think this is kind of quote unquote basic, but focus issues.
Focus issues, yep. Yeah. So focus issues being like keyboard focus, screen reader focus, inaccessible elements that are functional. Yep. Okay. Nod that. He nods the head. Yes.
I think any or most of Apple, the marketing websites, especially when they were highly relying on parallax and all these like suddenly appearing elements and carousels.
Yep.
You don't need to have motion sensitivity to not be comfortable doing this.
Yeah. Yep, motion sensitivity. All of the examples I pulled for these like kind of design review sites use some sort of parallax or scrolling access things, which is fascinating that that's still so popular. I get it. It makes movement, it makes motion, it's engaging, but it does make you sick, right? Like it's extreme in some cases. I have trigger warnings on all these examples I'm going to show because there's a lot of that. Yeah.
I was going to say, even if I'm not triggered by the motion, there's often cases where there's sort of like a jankiness or a delay or the movement and the motion doesn't even work the way that I think it was intended, and it just distracts from the readability and usability of the site.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's one of these examples where they have little videos of scribbles happening all over the place, and it's overlaid, of course, in opacity on top of stuff. And you're just like, you're just obscuring your content. It's kind of weird, right? Like it's like why is that the default experience for people, right? Like it's odd. It's an odd choice to really obscure that content that you're spending a lot of money on creating. Anything else? Got a couple in this chat. We have seen focus not returning to intended elements. Yep, that's a good one. We'll cover that. Cool.
When the dialogue pops up, focus doesn't move it, or you don't know how to close it.
Dialogue, don't know how to close it, and focus isn't put in the right spot. Yep. There's a lot of focus management, yes. Focus management problems. Okay, cool. Yeah, I agree with all of those statements. Yeah, there's that's kind of where I pulled back in the last couple of days on this session to just come back to like general focus management and ways we can do that. That's what we'll start with here. There's also some, I guess, more reduced motion, I think is a big one too. So there's a couple different techniques I'll cover with that as well. So yeah, see where it goes. Cool. All right. See if it'll play along. All right, so I've been reading about these two processes for a while, and I think it sums up my feelings pretty well about how we implement highly functional experiences or enhancements into a digital experience, a website in particular. So we've got the concept of graceful degradation versus progressive enhancement. These two things are fascinating to me because they're absolute polar opposites, right? You can pick your path that makes the most sense to you in the circumstance. I definitely prefer progressive enhancement personally because I like to think about the base experience and then build from it. But these two concepts are ways of not just providing one way of consuming content. These are for planning purposes for a website in particular, or a digital experience of any kind, where we're going to either build or take away functionality based on the availability or user preference of those things. So this is how I think we find that middle ground between highly interactive, non-accessible, and the space where we are in semantic HTML and not enhancing that in any way, not making an engaging content with that. Happy medium somewhere in between with these two concepts. So graceful degradation strategy in the first place is kind of you start with that predetermined ideal experience, right? You're going for it's a lie, but pixel perfect experience. We're going for that experience that is highly interactive, it's highly scripted, it's exactly what your marketing exec is drooling over on every other site out there. We're starting at that ideal, hi there, come on in. We're starting at that ideal space, ideal experience, and working our way backwards. So we're downgrading, it's breaking down the experience with supportive strategies. So we're going backwards in functionality as people opt out of it, essentially. It's useful in a lot of ways, but it also requires you sensing broken experiences, right? So if JavaScript doesn't exist, or if JavaScript is broken, it falls back to something else, some other alternative. Again, sensing a broken experience is kind of a weird way to plan your software, and it does require a lot more testing, I'd say. You have to make sure you are finding all of the user preferences out there that may break this ideal experience. So for instance, somebody turning off JavaScript, that is not very common anymore, but you can turn off JavaScript in any browser. So what happens when we turn off JavaScript? From the browser's perspective, what's the experience like? In a lot of these highly interactive sites, blank page. So like it's a small percentage of people out there, sure. Should we plan for it? Probably not, but like we should have some way that degrades back into a space that's at least delivering the text content of the page. Currently it is not, right? It'll just be a blank page. Because they're essentially doing live time like fetch requests and putting them into the page, right? Everything is based around delivering the content through JavaScript on the client side. Which is a huge change from how we used to do things, right? So again, hey, come on in. This graceful degradation is starting at the ideal and stepping backwards. And again, I have this stupid, very pointless graph just showing those kind of steps down. You could think of each of those as like a feature of your website that you're kind of taking away as things are getting taken out of the experience or scripted down. Any thoughts about that from the room? Have we seen this before? Was anybody coding when IE was IE was a thing? IE browser? Yeah. Do you remember the I guess what do we call it? Polyfill or something that we'd put in place to sense the broken experience. Yeah, right. That's graceful degradation. That's supporting a broken browser, but yeah.
So it's not something that you plan to degrade the functionality in the future. It's like now when we're developing, we're thinking like what might be broken for some users, like users of IE or.
Right. Yep. So we're thinking about it as how like individual user experiences get broken by either user preference or technology limitations, and moving backwards, yes, in features from that. Yep. Yeah, not degrading the entire experience over time, if that makes sense. You're not like taking away features as we go 6 months out, you know, that sort of approach. Cool. To use the no script tag creatively, we can certainly use the no script tag that came from the chat. Yeah, that's a thing. We used to do it all the time for a lot of different implementations. I haven't used it in a long time, but yes, we can certainly do the no script tag. That is definitely a way of graceful degradation, because at least you could put up a message, right? That your script is off, you won't get this content, which isn't a great experience, but you can do it. Cool. Oh, somebody's drawing on my page. Cool. Dig it. I don't know how to turn that on. It's fine. Okay. Can I? Oh, interesting. Can I not? Fun. Whatever. I don't care. All right. So on the flip side, oh, it stays like that. Hang on.
Oh.
Okay.
Maybe whoever drew it can remove it.
Yeah, why can't I remove it? That's interesting.
Maybe we can ask whoever did it. They probably should be able to erase it.
Yeah. It's grayed out for me.
I think the pointer was saying Catherine or something like started with K.
Yeah.
Someone moving.
This is funny. I love this. Oh, we'll just move on. Oops. All right. So we can also, on the flip side, we'll think about progressive enhancement strategy, right? So it's exactly the opposite. We'll see our graph is now featuring up as we more capabilities and user preferences are available to us. I prefer this strategy if I can help it. I'm also not in an agency making these highly interactive storytelling websites. So this just might be out of scope in a lot of these cases, but I do think most agencies making these sort of highly engaging JavaScript sites are starting with the ideal and only going to the ideal, right? And that's where this, like, can we think about how we step into that or out of that gracefully in some way, so we get to a happy medium somewhere. Anyway, so progressive enhancement strategy, again, we're stepping up that functionality. It builds layers in line with browser capabilities. It's a good way to think about it. So you're building layers on top of your experience that enhance and make it more engaging and add features that will benefit the user in some way. These things in this progressive enhancement strategy are off by default, right? So you're actually asking your user to opt into them. Some of them will be opted in by default, like things like reduced motion, that's a machine setting, right? So they'll have that as a preference across all things they ever visit. So that it's technically off by default, but if it's flipped on, it will apply kind of in the background. You don't have to have like a series of yes/no questions in your interface to say I want to opt into all these things. A lot of these things will happen just by the way the user has their machine set up. But the user does select that ideal experience knowingly or not. And I think that's an interesting part, because we're not asking people to degrade or fall back on an experience, right? And like have a negative experience and then try to walk back from it. We're having, a default or a simplified experience that they are then building upon and interacting with in that way. So I think, again, happy medium between semantic HTML, CSS and JavaScript, right? Like that's the goal, is that we're making these highly interactive JavaScript sites, but we're still having this baseline of semantic markup that can be delivered if that user preference is not selected. All right. I love the yellow marks. It makes it so hard to read. It's also my least favorite color. That's cool. So there's always this question of when we talk about taking features out of things or build or setting a default that then builds, right? There's always this question of, is this a minimum viable situation? That's a very dirty word in a lot of circles, especially in accessibility. Is this minimum viable, or is it a task-focused design? And I like to push people towards that idea of like, let's talk about what the user needs to accomplish, develop that, and then enhance it from there. So it's not about stripping out functionality. It's providing the most value for the least amount of technical interference. That's how I think about this. That's how I'm positioning this to the people I do consulting work with. Your users, in the end, want efficiency. Even in these highly engaging sites that we're going to take a look at, your user wants to do something. They want to accomplish something. They want to interact with your content in an efficient way. They do not want to surf around or find a preference for them that is going to work in their case, right? They want to do a thing. And decide what that thing is, the purpose of your website, right? Why do you have a website? Why are you building this thing? Start there, and then we'll progressively enhance that functionality into the future. So again, yeah, what's the goal? Yeah, I have some examples. If the goal is to submit a form, make sure you can accomplish that in the most simple and non-technical way. And then we can build error handling, we can build client-side error messaging, we can build in these features that, yes, they're required for accessibility purposes, but they are scripted events, right? So some users may find that some friction in that. Questions? Comments? Good? Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
To remove this, could you try the zoom, if you have zoom bar when you're sharing the screen? Like, you know, the zoom on the left-hand side might show you usually it's like a pen icon.
Yeah, it's down here and it's, oh.
No, because that one was from the slides, I think.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, it is from that.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oops. Maybe if I... Sorry, bear with me. It's all
Because this one is done, so this one is done on the Zoom.
Yeah, it is. You're right. So where's my Zoom toolbar?
Mine is that.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Maybe the three dots where you have the Christine Adams screen, dot on the top, where the Zoom workplace. Maybe here eraser won't work.
Yeah.
But that's the PowerPoint, right? When the drawing was done.
I can disable annotations for others. I'm gonna do that. Can I clear them? I've never had this happen before. This is great. Oh, there's like somebody annotated across the Zoom slides.
The
So
yellow lines in the screen.
yeah. So I'm trying to.
So that usually Zoom has this annotation.
Oop. There we go. I got it. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. I love that so much. All right. So I think next we're going to go into some kind of practical applications here, and we're just going to build out a couple, like a thing, and we're going to see how it goes with the room. Sound good? Cool. Let me double check which one I should start with, because I kind of changed the order on myself last night. And I'm sorry for people who have to look at my face so close on the Zoom channel. Very distracting. Right, drop down. Did I build this out? No, this is very basic. Let's start with the modal window. That sound good? Cool. Let's do that. Okay. I do have a completed quote unquote version of that too. We can tap to if we don't want to get too far in the weeds with this. But let's do the simple one first. Okay. I'll zoom in here in a second. So first, let's talk about modals and what they are. Sorry for hopping around so much. Okay. Modal dialog windows. What we're talking about here is, and this is going to be a review for a lot of you. I'm sure you've made millions of these. They're very common across websites, but they're used in so many different ways, right? Like, we're essentially talking about a piece of content that when launched or appears is over the top of other content. A modal dialog in particular blocks the entire screen. So we're going to focus on that one, where we want to trap that focus inside the modal. You can only interact with the modal when it's open until you dismiss it, and then you get returned back into the rest of the content. So there's a lot of good patterns out there to follow. This is kind of a combination of stuff I've done for years. But because this is collaborative, we're going to talk about it and open it up to see if y'all want to have better ideas than me, mostly. Cool. So what I like to start with whenever we're talking about something that's highly functional is to talk through kind of the user expectations and development requirements. So those two things should map together, but they are very different, right? Developers are going to speak to it in more technical implementation terms. User expectations are much more about how you're going to interact with something in the page, what their expectations might be. So user expectations for a modal dialog window would be that a button launches that modal dialog. There's some sort of semantic element there that they can understand that will opt them into that experience, right? They want to be able to fire that off, know exactly what's going to happen. It launches the dialog window. Dialog window is visually presented on top of all other content. So it sits above. If you're thinking about layers of depth of a website, it'll be on the top layer closest to your browser screen. I like to think about it that way. Maybe not for everybody. On top of all our other page content, the content beneath the dialog window is obscured. It is either not visible any longer, or it is diminished or inactive in some fashion. I should not be able to interact with the content behind the modal dialog. There is some sort of button to close that modal dialog window, and access to the page content is restored once the dialog is closed. Those are kind of what the user is going to expect out of this interaction. Am I missing anything? Yeah, Lasan.
No, I just had a question.
Yeah, can you wait for the mic?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I know sometimes what happens is that you can still access the content behind the modal, outside the modal. So like, what is the not to give you a pop quiz, but what is the way you can trap the modal, trap the focus inside?
Yeah, we're going to build that. You ready? In a couple different ways, because there's new HTML and stuff that we can leverage here. Yeah, great question. Good lead up. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to collaboratively build this thing. Speaking of, anybody in the room want the GitHub so you can like try this along? Okay, yeah, let me send it to you. Are you in the Slack?
No.
Or are you in the Zoom at all? Can I send it to you? Or I can just bring it up.
Tell me the URL.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Okay. It's really basic. It's very, very basic. So let's see, it's github.com/ can you see it? Offset Chris. Can you see, otherwise I can paste it. Oh, sorry. And then it's /access_u-JavaScript. Yeah. Very basic stuff here. This is nothing revolutionary. This is my very late night thoughts about what to do.
7 hours ago.
Yeah, that's correct. I am also an insomniac, so here we go.
Oh, are
We can.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can make a little directory, or like you can make your own file in here and post it wherever you want. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I mean, are you going to post the examples after the?
Yeah.
Do you have
Oh,
a
yes.
link to it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll absolutely post them up here. This is going to be a loose workshop. I was trying to so I have not done a session this long before. I'm coming clean here. I've not done a session this long before. So I was trying to think of a way to not just me talk for 3 hours, right? And so to have you all kind of help participate in this is kind of, yeah, the direction I went. So, and if I'm just typing your thoughts, that's also cool. I can do that. Not afraid of that. Live coding, sure. Okay, cool. So everybody who wants it has the repo. Otherwise, we'll just walk through it on my screen, and you can shout stuff out or post it in the chat, and we'll. Oh, yep. Thank you, chat. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that reminder. There you go. Should be public. Let me know if it's not. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So let's go back to Visual Studio, and I will try to make it bigger. Ooh, that's big. Okay. All right. So I kind of put a framework in here. I'm in modal dialog-empty. If you're following along in the GitHub repository, there's a modal dialog complete with functional things. They're not pretty. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this, but well, I did, but didn't get to the pretty styling part of things. So maybe that's an update I can make for you all in some future hour. Okay, so we've got a really basic structure of a website here. I've done a little bit of base work to get this set up for us. I would like us to start. There's two versions of this right now. There's a non-HTML dialog version, so that's a legacy version of a modal dialog. This is the way I've been building dialogs for 15 years. So I still like it, and I think it's a good exercise. However, there is a new new quote unquote HTML version of this sort of implementation. So I want to start with that one, and then we'll work our way back to the legacy one, because that one's much more involved about trapping keyboard focus and things like that. So, Lasan, are you all set up?
Yeah, I think so.
You good? Okay. Cool. All right, so let's start with the HTML version. I've kind of done a little bit of the HTML for us already, but let's talk through it. If we can see, it starts right there. So we've got a button, role, that starts us off. Simple enough, right? Semantic button, let's do it, because we get stuff for free there. We also have this dialog HTML element. And this is really cool, because this takes out 90% of the work. And it's pretty well supported now. I haven't done a lot of testing with it, to be totally honest, so I'm not sure where it fails. And if anybody in the room has experience with this too, please chime in. Again, collaborative experience. We have this HTML dialog window, and inside that window we have a paragraph with a form with some inputs, because I just needed some focusable elements in there to test this. We also have the button element and the dialog close tag. So HTML is pretty much built. Let's see what that looks like. It's very basic. Oh, and let me unhide that dialog. Or we actually won't do it. We'll do it. No, this will be hidden by default. So yes, really basic. 2 buttons. Let's make them bigger, because fun. So we can see them.
Paragraph to header.
Yeah.
That would be more
Absolutely. We'll do that. Yep, good call. I'm going to make it an H2. Oh, there is an H1 on the page, yeah. Hey, look at me. Cool, header. We'll do that with this one too. Great suggestion. Like it. Cool. All right, I'm going to make them bigger real quick with some CSS. Oops, not the H2. What am I doing? Come on. Let's see what that looks like. Bigger. Maybe not that big. Cool. All right, so we got two big buttons now that we can see. Really basic, right? So we're dealing with this one. Open the HTML dialog over here. This legacy one we'll do next, right? So the interesting part about the dialog HTML element is that it inherits all of the functionality that we're going to go backtrack and write for the legacy version. So it's hidden by default. It has click events already attached to it. Well, some functionality, I guess, not the main click event, but it does a lot of the stuff for free, like good semantic HTML should, which is awesome. Okay, so going back into our script, let's scroll down. Sorry for the scrolling. I'm trying to do it very thoughtfully and not make everyone sick. All right. So we've got two actions we need to script out with this. So we've got our HTML dialog selected by ID here with the document getElementById. Of course, you can do this in many, many ways. Elements should be unique, though, or IDs should be unique within the page if you're going this route. Choose your own adventure. We have our HTML open button here, also selected with document getElementById. And we also have our close button. So first thing we need to do is add an event listener for that launching button. What should we do? Pop quiz. Anybody at all? I can cheat over here with you, give you a little hint. Yeah. Okay. So that was it. All right. So we're gonna target our HTML open button. We're gonna add an event listener. Add event listener. What are we listening for? Thank you. Yes. Click encompasses both a mouse click and a keyboard action. So just why bother with anything else? Yeah. I'm going to do an arrow function because I feel special today. It doesn't have to be. Okay. What are we going to do on that click? Show modal. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. You got it.
I've done a few of these.
Good. Awesome.
That's the button. I was trying to find your GitHub repository for some reason. I'm finding it.
Oh, did you not get it?
Nope.
Okay.
Does the button have ARIA has pop-up equals dialog?
It can. Should it?
Yes, it should.
Okay, let's do it.
That comes with screen reader to announce it as
Okay.
open style.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Here, I'm going to do that first. Let's go up to the button. Yep. So we're going back up to the button. If I can find it. Hang on. Okay. Where am I? Sorry. I'm usually not this zoomed in, so I get turned around. Okay. Button. We need ARIA has pop-up.
Yep. ARIA dash has pop-up equals dialog close quote.
Yep. Dialogue. Perfect. And if we can get you the mic, you want to tell the group what that does? Here, do we have the microphone? Yeah, perfect.
All right.
You'll say it better than I will. So there you go.
Sure. So this is an update in ARIA 1.2. There used to be only one ARIA has pop-up attribute that says open or menu, and screen readers used to read it as menu. Now in 1.2, they actually updated it to accept what is called token values. So we can have list box, grid, dialog.
Great.
That causes, no, the screen reader needs that ARIA has pop-up equals dialog. The screen reader is supposed to say opens dialog, shows dialog. It's up to individual screen readers exactly how to say it, but basically the word dialog should be in there.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you so much.
That sets the expectation for what's going to happen.
Yeah, perfect. Yep, because otherwise it just gets, you're dependent on the text of the button, which isn't always specific, right? So it's going to give you additional context to what's happening before you activate it. Good suggestion. All right. let's go back down. We were in our HTML open add event listener with click. Oh, are you in the Zoom? Do you want the link to the GitHub repo? Okay.
So it's offsite. It's github.com/offsite.
Offset Chris. OFFSETCHRIS. Don't know why I picked that username, sorry. Slash, I think capitals matter, I'm not sure. Access U, capital A and U, dash JavaScript, capital J and S. Cool. Got it? Let me know if you get it. Otherwise, I can send it to you in Slack.
One more time.
SET. OFF.
Offset.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
OFF.
I was trying to do offset.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Now we got it. Okay.
Offset. I don't know. I was being clever when I was 17. Whenever GitHub came out.
My GitHub name is Wild Brew.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't look very professional. It was funny with this.
I know. This is now in my organization's GitHub account too. I'm like, whoops, sorry. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're in HTML open add event listener. We've added a click event to that. So then we want to target our dialog element, which we've stored into that variable. So nope, I'm in chat. Oops. Okay. HTML dialog. So referencing our variable, and the cool part about this is it has built-in methods. We can just say show, oops, if I can spell, modal. Let's try that out. Ta-da! It works. That's it. One line. Isn't that cool? I love that my submit and close button got bigger because I didn't bother to change that. But yeah, so what happened there is I clicked our button, our launching button again, and it automatically threw up that dialog window into the screen. It already has a built-in kind of obscuring light black opacity cover over the top of everything behind it, and it gave me some really basic default styling for a modal window right out of the gate just by using the HTML dialog element. So that's cool. Saves us a lot of work. So our next step then, one thing that's also very cool about this that you'd have to script in that we'll look at here in a minute. I don't know if we'll get to this part, but it also has built-in escape key exit. So awesome, right? We don't have to script in keyboard if we go this direction with this. So I was really impressed by this when it came about, and now that the support's pretty good for it. Again, you might want to test it based on your use cases, but this is a really great option for implementing this. It also traps keyboard focus automatically too. I should have said that. So you'll notice, let me get out of here again. So I'll launch the button again. Watch where I'm going to use keyboard. I'm going to launch the button again from my keyboard. Watch where the focus ends up going, the blue outline. Goes directly to the first focusable element. So it's already building in that feature by just using the dialog element. Again, saving us a lot of time if we go this way. There might still be reasons to write this out yourself. It's possible. I still do it just out of habit because I forget. But yeah, so. Oh.
If you don't have a focusable element in there, then it goes to like the close button.
Probably the close button. Yeah, we got an expert in the room. Excellent. I love this.
Sorry, I know this too.
No, do it. No, this is collaborative. I want this.
Okay, what I do is I use the autofocus attribute. So if you want the focus to go to a specific button, just add the attribute autofocus on the button. If for some reason you want the focus to go directly to the heading of the dialog or the paragraph in the dialog, you can add tab index equals -1 and autofocus. And that works.
So the autofocus would work on the tab index -1.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It works in any element, but you have to add, if it's not focusable, you have to add tab index equals
Yep.
-1.
Let's try it. Oh. It's just an attribute, right? There's no value.
Nope.
Got it. Cool, let's try. I put it on some random checkbox. Yep, I put it on a random checkbox, so let's see what happens. All right, I'm gonna launch it again. It autofocused to checkbox number 3. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. So let's try the tab index -1 on the full modal window. So I'm going to take that autofocus off of that checkbox. I'm going to move back up, maybe to the form.
The container dialog itself?
The what?
The container of the dialog.
Yeah, we could do let's try it. Oh. I can do, I have to put tab index of -1. That means a script, come on, code editor. That means a script can put focus on a thing, but it is not in the default tab order of the document. All right. Let's try it out. So I'm going to keyboard, did I refresh? Yes. Keyboard over to our Open HTML dialog button. I'm going to launch it, and that didn't work. Why did that not work?
Well, it might work, but you don't necessarily see it because the element is not interactive, so it doesn't get a focus outline. What happens if you press the tab key?
Yeah. It went to the first input field.
It shows the focus on the input.
That should.
Oh, okay.
Typically, I would not recommend putting.
Yeah. This is probably not a thing we should demo, but I'm going to do it. Don't do this at home. I'm just curious now.
But what if the dialog is like small? It's like confirm submitting form. Okay.
Oops.
Can get into that later.
Oh, I don't mind.
This dialog.
Hey,
is
that one
more
works.
accessible later.
Okay, so I put the tab index of -1 on the form element this time, and the autofocus attribute, and it did work that time. So now it focused on the form element. I've got the blue outline around it, and if I tab, I bet it's going to go to tab or the first input field. Yeah, cool. Yep. So I don't know why it didn't like the dialogue itself. That's interesting, but probably you have a heading in there, probably you have some text, so that would maybe make sense to autofocus there. Very cool.
Will autofocus work on heading also, or it is only for interactivity?
Yeah, I think we can put that anywhere we want. Yeah, let's try it on the heading this time. So I'm going to take it off the form. Sorry, this is not JavaScript, but hey, it's fun. Cool. All right, so I put it on the heading this time. And yeah, it works. So pretty much, it seems like any element inside the dialog, you can do this autofocus attribute. That's really cool. Again, maybe wouldn't suggest it for logical focus reasons, but there could be a use case where you want to push someone into a specific space or element in that. But again, really cool because this dialog HTML implementation already traps your focus in there. So I went up into the Chrome there, you'll see, but I wasn't able to get to the stuff behind the dialog. So it's only inside the dialog, my keyboard focus, and then it's throwing it into the Chrome or the browser. But that's something we have to script in with the legacy version. Okay, anything else we should try before we move to the close button? No? Cool. Okay, let's do it. So right now, we can still close this because of the built-in features. The escape key will close it. But we also probably want some UI element to indicate a close, right? So again, very easy. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I mean, I could just look this up, but can you speak to like the semantics of the dialog element? You know, would it be appropriate to like wrap a mobile navigation in this? Probably not. Is it always supposed to be something that takes up a portion of the screen, or could you use CSS to expand it and that would still be okay to cover the whole screen?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. Yeah, I would say as long as it fits within the definition of a dialogue where it is sitting on top of other content, you can change it. You can style it, I'd say, however you want. If you wanted that all-encompassing, where it's like essentially just plastered over the top and you don't see any of the background content, perfectly okay, because that is still the functionality, right? You don't want to interact with the stuff behind it. You want it trapped. You want to only have users dedicated to submitting that or dismissing it in some way, and then moving on to back to the content. Yeah.
Just make sure the resize is to 200%.
Yes. Don't restrict the focus or the ability to zoom. That would be the only, yeah. Because otherwise you will get it hanging off the screen and not able to be accessed or visible. Anyway, yeah, great question. Cool. That's a neat trick. I like that a lot. Okay, so close button. Let's get our close button working. How are we on time? How's everybody feeling? We're like an hour in. We good? Okay. My computer hasn't restarted, so it's a win. I'm sure like somebody in my IT space is just like, update your computer. It's okay. They can wait. Great. Okay, so now we need to add an event listener for our HTML close button. Yeah, all right. I just wanted someone to call it out. Okay, exactly the same, right? Implementation as our old one. So HTML close, add event listener, write your function however you want. I'm gonna do an arrow function because again, it feels special apparently. Whoops, did it wrong. That's fun. Okay. Why is it doing that? Stop. Sometimes I'm still getting used to Visual Studio Code because I was a Sublime text editor person for a long time, and then I'm like, actually the reduced functionality is annoying, so still getting used to it. Okay, cool. We've got a click function on HTML close button. Anybody familiar with the method built in?
Take a wild guess. Let's try the close one.
Yeah, you got it. It's very easy. HTML close. That's it. Oh, sorry, HTML, yep, dialog, yep.
But it's not open modal, close modal.
It's show modal and close, yeah.
Not hide.
Yeah.
It's show modal and close. If you do
Yeah.
just show, the dialog is not modal, but
Yeah.
otherwise
Isn't that annoying? Yeah. This is why I have to look this up every time I use it because the naming conventions of this are so odd. It's like, yeah, show modal, you just assume hide modal,
Yeah.
or open modal, close modal, or open close. No, we've got a weird somewhere in the middle. Yep. And this is from the spec, right? These are built-in methods for this. This is not something we created. So you just kind of have to look it up every single time, unfortunately. Okay, let's make sure I got that right. HTML.
Someone should bring the traffic to the documentation site, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's driving engagement in their documentation sites. Yeah, that's probably the that is probably the reason. I'm not gonna lie. MDN just was like, yeah, we're gonna.
Well, at the end, just document what the.
I know, but they love it. They get the traffic. They get the traffic because of it. So, all right. Okay, let's try it again. We'll go to our open dialog. I'm gonna use my keyboard again. Opens up, focuses on that first input field. I'm gonna tab my way down to the close button and hit enter and it closes. So it just replicates that escape key functionality, but with literally one line, which is pretty cool. So.
And nice that it retains the focus position on
Yeah.
under the dialog.
Yeah, and notice where the focus went back to on here? Yeah, yep. So focus automatically went back to the element that launched it originally. So it's doing all that for you, which is really nice. Do you want to like make our lives hard and write all that functionality right now, like ourselves, in the legacy version, or should we skip it today?
What's the browser support?
For this? Yeah, let's find out. It's actually, I think, pretty decent. Let's see. We're gonna go with good old can I use. Dialog element is pretty decent across the board of all the major browsers, it looks like. So, looks like it's supported across Firefox, Android, Samsung, Chrome, Opera, Firefox, Safari, Chrome, Edge. Yeah. So, pretty well supported.
You gotta check accessibility support.io also accessibility support.
Yes. Remind me, I don't have it in my bookmarks. Accessibility.
A11y support.io.
Yes, that came up right at the end. Thanks, browser suggestions. All right, we'll see dialogue. Yeah, look support alert dialogue rule, dialogue element. We do not currently have any data for this feature.
Oh, I'll ask him to update it. It works.
Does it work?
I've tested a bunch of combinations.
Okay.
It's a little flaky in iOS with Safari.
Okay, iOS Safari, it might be a little flake. Okay, yep, good stuff. Okay, yeah, and this is showing specific support for, our major screen readers and other software for accessibility testing. So yeah, overall it seems okay. Support-wise, again, you might just want to test it, play around with it. So, cool. Dig it. All right. So maybe instead of writing it, writing the legacy version, I'll just show you it. We'll just talk through what all that built-in feature would look like if you had to write it yourself. That sounds good. Instead of making you do it. And I didn't even do it all. I forgot the escape key. Whoops.
To help us appreciate the power of semantic HTML.
Yeah, the power of semantic HTML, exactly right. So this is JavaScript. This is JavaScript workshop, and we've written 2 lines of JavaScript. This is good. Love this. Talk about HTML for an hour. Yes. Okay. So let's look at the HTML or the HTML implementation of the legacy version of this is the same, except for the dialogue. Let me scroll up. Sorry. Except for the dialogue element. So if you'll notice in the HTML side, we've got our button with a new ID of legacy open. We've got a div instead of a dialogue that has the ID of legacy dialogue. That's going to be styled appropriately to be hidden by default and then shown once that button is activated, like our requirements were saying previously. And then we have our same. Let me change it to a heading. Yep, here, hang on. There isn't, you're right. Yeah, it should be a role.
Just that. Must be role equals dialogue.
Yep.
Aria modal equals true.
Yep, you are correct. Yep. Aria modal, yep.
And aria labeled by?
Technically, that should have been on the other dialogue too.
That's true, you're right. Thank you.
So the dialogue HTML does not imply aria model?
No, because the dialogue element doesn't know what element is used to label it. You have to tell it.
Okay.
I just didn't want to get into it because this is JavaScript.
No, I mean, hey, we're here to make good patterns. So yeah, let's go back. So we're on our HTML dialogue. So we need an aria labeled by. Was that it? Or
So an accessible name for a dialogue is technically optional.
okay.
But if there's, it's better for dialogues to have a title. So if you have an H2 in there that says
Yep.
your personal information or your billing
Mhm.
information for something,
Mhm.
that H2 needs to have an ID attribute, which is unique. So
Mhm.
I don't know, dialogue 21 or something.
Mhm.
And then the dialogue element itself needs aria labeled by equals the same ID.
Great.
And that causes the screen reader to not just say dialogue when you open it, but it
That-
will say
yep.
your information dialogue.
You are correct. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Perfect.
I flag it when I review.
The what?
I flag when the dialogues don't have names.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I did that. I added that to our example in the empty version. I'll add it to the other one too.
And do we need to add aria model? For
Yep.
the dialogue HTML?
No, HTML dialogue is already mobile.
Yep.
You don't have
Oh,
to
okay.
Yep.
specify.
That one has built-in feature. For the non-HTML version, we have to be extremely explicit because nothing is given to you for free when you just implement Aria. So we've got now, we'll need Aria has pop-up on the button as well. Dialogue. And then we also have, so in our dialog div, we have role equals dialog, aria modal equals true, and then an ID for that as well.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Question?
This isn't JavaScript, I guess, but it's with the dialog element. Does it have like a way to designate it as like an alert dialog, like the aria attribute? Because you can say set a dialog as an alert.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
I get it, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I like this. I'm glad you showed up.
Let's do this.
No, do it. This is our session.
Okay, so there are two alerts in the ARIA spec. You can look up ARIA authoring practices.
Yep.
This is where you always go and create your own stuff with JavaScript.
Yep.
You need to go to ARIA authoring practices. So the idea was that there are two roles. You can either put role equals dialog or role equals alert dialog. The idea with alert dialog was that screen readers were supposed to automatically read the dialog text when the dialog opens. However, support for this has never really been all that good.
Yep.
What we can do instead, and I don't want to super distract
Let's go.
us here,
Like it.
is you can, the message you want automatically to be read when the dialog opens, if you have that in a div or some kind of tag, you need to give that div an ID. Say, I don't know, dialog main content 1, and then on the dialog container, whether it's the HTML dialog element or your div with role equals dialog, you can put aria described by equals that ID. What that does is causes the screen reader to automatically read the text of the dialog when it opens. So if you have like alert dialog that has the message and an OK button, you basically put the message in a div, give the div something, dialog main content 22, then you put basically on the dialog element, you put aria label by equals something. There could be like heading that says time of warning. Then aria described by equals main content 22. They could say your session is about to timeouts. And then you put an autofocus on the OK button. What that does is when you open it, screen reader reads warning dialog, your session is about to time out, OK button. You don't have to, like, you hear it all at once, you can interact. You can interact with it immediately. So that's the end of your lecture with ARIA.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No, that's really helpful. Yeah. So I was following there a bit with coding here in our completed example for the legacy version, but I kind of put a paragraph in there that's kind of an alert message. Let's just pretend that that's the case, that's the thing. I put an ID of alert message on that, and then I'm referencing it with aria described by on the dialog element, aria described by equals alert message. So without the timeout and other stuff, that would still be read out as the dialog opens. Is that accurate? Correct. Okay.
And we're
Cool.
missing aria label by.
Yep, you're right. Aria label by. Let's do the aria label by on the header.
So for the role alert dialog, do I understand it correctly that it will be announced by screen reader only when the focus goes to the dialog, so it's only for the modal dialogs or other?
It will basically behave exactly like role equals dialog. There's no difference.
Okay.
It was meant to behave differently, but screen reader support and browsers never implemented it differently.
Okay. So yep, screen reader support
I would
for
just skip it.
yeah, screen reader support for the aria alert.
Alert dialog.
Alert dialog was lacking, and so probably not useful. Okay. Dialog name. Go back up here. You can see already how much extra work we're doing, right? Aria labeled by dialog name. So I've now associated the dialog with a label of dialog name, which is the heading of the element or the heading inside of it. We also have that aria described by for the alert message. Sure, why not? And then we have our form in there. So I think our button is good, our dialog is good with the aria attributes. Again, aria implementation, it looks very similar to this HTML dialog situation. But with any time you are writing explicit roles or aria attributes, you get nothing for free. It's not semantic HTML. So our browsers, our assistive tech are not writing functionality for ARIA. They're writing it for HTML spec, right? So just keep that in mind. So all those free things we got with the last one, not the case here. So we are now responsible for writing all of the scripting that we got for free with the semantic dialogue element. Okay. All right, we'll talk through this, and then I think we'll take a quick break, if you don't mind. All right, so legacy, dialogue, scripting from down here. Hey, come on in. How's it going? We have met before.
Yes, we have.
Denev? No.
Yeah.
Denev? Yeah, okay, cool. Good to see you. We're talking about right now a legacy version of a modal dialogue and how you might script functionality into it. We just went over the HTML dialogue element, so the fancy new version.
Yes.
Now we're just going to see how much work we save ourselves when we do that.
Awesome.
Cool. It's a little bit of a backwards implementation, but we're going with it because I think it's useful.
Yeah.
You'll still find things in here that you will need to do somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just talking through it. Cool. All right. So the legacy implementation here, we've got our legacy open button assigned to a variable. Again, get an element by ID. We also have found our dialogue element that we added roles to, things of that nature. And so we are finding that with, again, a unique ID in the page. And we also have a placeholder variable here of return L, so return element. Because we are not getting the functionality of the HTML dialog window, we are going to have to sense what element to send focus back to when the dialog is closed. So we did let return L because then we can set the value to that as we sense it. With me so far? Cool. All right. I'm also curious to hear if anybody does this differently, because again, with JavaScript, we can do this in a million different ways. So we can test them out if this is flexible. Here. Oh, I got some chats. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with chat. Yeah, okay, so catching up on chat here. Hang on, before we move on. I'm gonna move that over here. Can I make that bigger? Yeah. Cool. All right. We'll get back to the we went to the W3C pattern. Yeah, cool. So Russell, yes, ARIA patterns guide is great. A lot of this is coming from there. Highly recommend it. However, you'll notice warnings on each of the ARIA patterns that it's not production ready. Do keep that in mind. It's not production ready. It's a starting place for you to test within your within your implementation. So just keep that in mind. Just don't copy and paste it and assume it's going to be good. There's also some patterns I disagree with actively. So the navigational menu pattern needs to go away. Hot take. Cool, and so I think, can the background opacity of the page be changed to be darker when the dialog is open? Yes, you can absolutely add whatever styling you want with that. Either you could add that within your JavaScript function, so maybe we can go back and look at that here in a second. But you could add a class essentially to the document or the main content that changes the opacity, changes the color. Because it's inert, because we're not interacting with it, that is okay to do. Color contrast wise, right? Because it's inert, you're not interacting with it, it goes away for a minute. Once we return it, we take that class off, it comes back, and it is no longer violating contrast issues. So yeah, we can take a look at that. Then we've got a, from accessibility standpoint view, focus must go to the heading in a dialog window. Certainly can, yeah. Depends on how you're structured, how you're structuring your HTML. But I agree, if you're skipping the heading, user would have to go back up in the DOM order to see the heading and come back down. So that autofocus element might be really useful in that case, to focus on the heading. And then I'm seeing online that iOS 15 and earlier did not support the dialog element. There may still be bugs in later iOS Safari as well. Yep. Yeah, so I think it's still a little flaky, especially if you're supporting backwards compatibility, right? And again, this is that conversation of graceful degradation or progressive enhancement. Which way do you want to go? Yeah, I might still, because I also am, I don't know, I like to give myself too much work, probably. I also, I probably am gonna still write out this JavaScript functionality and handhold it a bit before I trust the dialogue element fully. And that's just me. That is just absolutely me. That you can take your own decision on that one.
Well, there are some things with the dialogue element that you still have to use
Yeah.
JavaScript to manage, right?
Yes. Yep, there are still things that you have to manage with JavaScript with the dialog, yes. Yep, so you still have to call the show modal and close, right? So you still have to handle those things, and you can also like force focus and do some other things too, yeah. And classes and styling, yep. Cool. Yeah, thank you for all of that. Awesome. Move that back. Cool. All right, so where was I? Yes, okay, so talking through this legacy functionality again for replicating what the dialog did built in. We're again finding our button, so our legacy open button, adding that event listener of click. Again, click encompasses all the good things. I didn't do an arrow function here, don't know why. It just felt different when I wrote this one. Not consistent. No one should put me in charge of their full code system. Yeah, that's what the linter. Yes, set up your linters. Yeah. I think I also pulled this out of an old project. I'm not gonna lie. It's cool. So then we're running our function off of that click event. We find our legacy dialog element, and I just did a style display block here, but you could easily add a class that is then in your styling system to hide and show it with fanciness, right? You could do transitions and stuff. And then we are sensing what was clicked, and we are assigning it to our return L variable. That you'll notice is outside the function, right? Because it's got to be outside the function, otherwise it's going to be always cyclical, right? So we want to set it outside the function so that it's always one element, right? We can always reset it from outside, otherwise you're going to get weird things happening. So we set that by saying event.target, right? So the target of this event listener, which is the button that our legacy open button, we are assigning that back to return L. That's what we will essentially send to the close function to be able to return the focus back to the right spot. And then I decided to write my keyboard trap as a separate function that's reusable, so it's not ridiculous. So I wrote a function called keyboard trap, and then I essentially tell it what to trap to. So I'm sending in our legacy dialog box. Now these are global variables here. You may want to put them in some sort of context to what element you are, or what sort of, if you have multiple dialogues, right, this is going to get messy. So you may want to wrap it in context. For a demo, I didn't want to go there. So especially a demo in the morning, writing code. Yes. Yeah, anyway, life choices. Okay, so that's essentially how we're going to open this. So let's move to our keyboard trap event, or function, that we also kind of created as a separate callable function here. There's lots of ways to do this, so I'm just going to caveat that. This is the way that's worked best for me and the things that I make, but there's likely different things you might want to consider with this. But essentially, I made this keyboard trap function. I'm sending in that active element. So let me go back up. We sent it that dialog to tell it what to trap to, and that's essentially getting passed in as a variable here. So then that function is just going to get executed for that active element, which in this case is our dialog window. First thing we do in this is find all the interactive elements within the dialog. And actually that context is, so yes, I made a list. Let's say, I didn't find them yet. I made a list of all the types of interactive element selectors that I needed. So you'll still have to access this or modify this depending on what you're building and what might be in that dialog window. This was the list that worked for me. Let's put it that way. So made a list of all the types of interactive elements that could exist in my dialog windows. I am then finding all of those interactive elements within my dialog window. So in this case, active L, because again, we passed in the dialog window into this function. So dialog window, active element, we are query selector all, and then we query all of our interactive element types that we have defined, and we get all of them, like all of them based on the selector. So I'm going to take that console log out. Actually, let's see. Let me bring this up so we can actually see that. Yeah, I'm gonna demo that console log. Why not? See if it still works. Live coding. Whee. Okay, let me go back in my browser. So yeah, right. I don't know what I was thinking. It's okay. Okay, so let's go to our modal complete. Oh yeah, I didn't make my buttons bigger. That's gonna annoy me. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, phone. 2 seconds. I'm gonna make my button bigger so you can see it. Yeah. Quick CSS. Yeah. All right. Better. Okay. Hey. Where was I? Yes, I got all those things. All right, so we're gonna see what this console log does after we find those elements. So let's hope that click event is still working. It should be. All right, so we're gonna test this open dialog button, and we'll see that a really ugly thing showed up. That's good, but more importantly, here's that list of all the interactive elements within that dialog. So that's essentially the goal of that query selector, is to find every single interactive thing within the dialog window that we are showing. So again, that list is going to depend on how you build this and what is inside your dialogs and whatever system you're creating. But yeah, essentially we can get that list of all the things, because then what we're going to do essentially, instead of I've seen a lot of different implementations where people will put like tab index -1 on all interactive things across the entire page, right? To prevent keyboard focus on the things that shouldn't be focused on. I don't love that, just because like things get lost in transit sometimes. So this is the way that I like the best, is now essentially that we've found all the interactive pieces of the dialog menu or dialog window, we're just going to loop our focus through it. So once it's at the first one, it's going to go down. If you shift tab, it's going to loop back to the last one. We're essentially just going to make an infinite loop in the dialog window, because that way we don't have to, go backwards. Yeah, question.
Yeah, I have a question. I think the last selector you had is like tab index, not tab index equals 1. What is that?
That's a great question.
The story of that?
I don't remember.
Tab index -1. Because, for example, if we have heading with tab index -1, then we don't want to.
Tab index, not tab index 1.
Did you have something that was
Maybe
tab
that was
index
tab index.
equals 1?
No, but maybe
Well,
that
not
was
though.
tab
Oh.
index -1.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, if we add H2 tab index -1, we didn't want it to be in the focus order, right?
Mhm.
Because we only, so maybe that was tab index -1.
Could have been.
6 hours ago.
Could have been.
Trying to give you a way out of it.
What would I have done that for? Yeah, that's a good question. Tab index, not tab index 1. So something that is not a tab index 1. Why would I put tab index 1 on anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
That's
think
really
I think that should be -1. I think you're right. I don't know, 6 hours ago. Yeah, let's see if that change. It doesn't change
You said
anything.
This was a legacy project, so it's probably 6 years
It's
ago.
probably something really random that had to happen. Yeah.
In that one project.
But no, that makes
Better.
more sense, because then if there happens to be something with a positive tab index, which there shouldn't be, blanket statement, there shouldn't be, then yes, we would still want it to be in that loop, right? Because we're forcing focus to it. Yeah, that's probably it. You're right. Cool. All right, awesome. So yes, that is essentially what we did there, is got the all interactive elements of the modal window. We then can determine what the first one is. Oops. We then can determine what the first element is in that list and the last element is in that list, and then essentially just control between those two things. So modal elements, so within that array that is returned, stop with the hints, within the first, that array, the very first one, the index of 0, right, easy enough. The last one is modal elements length -1. So take the length -1 because it's a 0 index. You'll get the last one out of that list. Cool. Yes, so then when we start this, this keyboard trap, we automatically will go force that focus on the first element in that list. So default state, it's always going to happen this way. I like this, it's very simple, but yeah. So we take that first modal element and we dot focus, right, method. Just force the focus into that. And again, that's to prevent it from being lost somewhere in the page. Then what we're doing here is we're adding an event listener for key down. So again, we're primarily focused with, keyboard access folks, people using their keyboard to access the elements in here. So we are, this one gets complicated. Let me think about this. So document, add event listener for key down. If that key code is 9, which I do believe is tab, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, it has to be tab because I have shift over here. If that key code is 9, so if we're tabbing, if the document active element equals the first modal element, and the event shift key is also activated. So if we are shift tabbing and we're on that very first element in the array, we will actually loop down to the last element. So we'll go to the last element that we found, force focus on it, and that essentially brings it back. So started here with the shift tab. So you're at the first one, goes back. Shift tab will go back to the last element in the modal window. We also do some prevent default to make it not do weird things. Cool, and then vice versa, when we have the active element is the last modal window, or last interactive element in the modal window, and there is no shift key at play, we force the focus back up to the first one. So again, you're at the bottom, you're at the very last focusable element, we are going to force the focus back up to the top. So, yes?
So this is just managing focus for...
Do you want to, here, let's get, so I don't have to repeat it. Perfect.
So this is just managing focus for keyboard, you said?
Yes.
How do you, what do you do for screener to make sure that they're also trapped inside of that pop-up?
Yeah, that's a really great question. You could set, I want to say inert, right, would prevent access. So you could set an inert attribute on the background content, which would again prevent access from that. But yeah, good question. I don't know, because there are features in screen readers that would allow you to navigate outwards.
Yeah.
Based on that. Yeah. So any comments over here?
Also the support for if
It's-
lettuce,
Yeah.
This depends how far back in time you want to go.
Yeah, I am a dinosaur, so yeah, let's do it.
Go back to 2015 and later, all you have to do is to put aria modal equals true on the dialog element.
Okay.
What that does, it blocks the screen reader from being able to navigate outside the dialog.
That's right.
Any
That's right.
keyboard keys, H, etc.
Mhm.
Before the H of aria modal, times were terrible. Dialogues wasn't possible.
Let's not
Yeah.
go back then.
Yeah, we had to try to put the dialogue as a separate element to the rest of the page content.
Yep.
Put aria hidden equals true on
Yep.
that thing. Sometimes people forgot to set it back to false when you close the dialogue, so
Yep.
the page had nothing on it for a screen reader.
Yep.
And,
Oh no.
all sorts of horror ensued, which I will not detail in this.
Definitely.
It's too horrible to think of.
Too horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, and aria adding aria hidden to everything goes alongside usually the tab index -1 on everything interactive. So you'd have, instead of this function, you would have something like a function that found all the interactive elements outside of the dialog, added tab index -1 so you couldn't focus on them anymore, and then put aria hidden on everything too, on the container, like the main content of the page. Yeah.
And remember that if the dialog is a child of something that has aria hidden, then you also hidden the dialog.
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct. Yeah, yeah. So dialogues can be architected in any way, right? They're often appended to the bottom of your HTML document, but they could be, a project I just did had them in line with like comments, right? So it was like a comment button and it was a looped template, right? So I had to, in order to get the specific dialogue I needed to pop up for that specific element, but it was a template, right? So I had a loop feature. Instead of doing 2 loops, I just put them in line with each other, which you're gonna run into that problem. It's in line, right? It's so you can't hide the parent container then, so then it's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
So at that point, do you just recommend to the client, let's just refactor this code to make it an actual dialogue element,
Yeah.
instead of trying to remediate this terrible one that you have?
Yeah. I mean, I would re-architect. Yeah, I would prefer that. It's really hard to band-aid that together at that point. I mean, there might be reasons, really weird reasons probably, to keep it, but yeah, I would recommend, moving to the more modern installation of that, for sure, to save your heartache and pain. Mostly, because the removal of all those things. So it's one thing to apply aria hidden and tab index -1 to everything with a function, and it's another to take it all back once it closes, right? Without refreshing the page and sending the user back up to the top, right? Like, that's not a good experience. Yeah, totally.
And the performance hit.
And the performance hit.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes. All right, so let's see. So we covered the keyboard trap, and then really the only other addition to this is the close button. Sorry, I'm trying to just reorient myself with where I was. Yep, so we did our keyboard trap. We're not going to deal with the escape key today. I don't think. We're going to move on. But I can hear myself. It's weird. It's okay. Do it all the time. I'm saying too much too. It's probably 4 hours of sleep. It's fine. Okay, yes. So then the only other thing we need to worry about in this case, besides the escape key, which we're not going to cover, is that close button. So again, we just find our close button inside the dialog element, add an event listener for click. We remove the dialog window. I just did legacy dialog.style.display equals none. You could add a class, you could remove a class, however you want to hide it, that's totally fine. And then we have a return element up here that we probably forgot about that we set when we opened the dialog originally. So again, it's outside that function context, doesn't go away when that context closes in JavaScript. So it's outside, it's sitting there waiting for us to use it. Now that we're going to close the button, we can reference that return L and force the focus back to that element that originally launched it. So, question?
Do we clear the keyboard listeners? I mean, I know that we're closing the do we better need to clear the event listeners for the keyboard shortcuts? I know that we close the dialog, but in case we open similar dialog with same IDs or something like this, is there something that?
Yep. So you will want to wrap some of this in different contexts, but because we fired the keyboard trap from this particular event listener, that's specific to one ID, and I didn't make a larger function for multiples. It will close. This will close when the event listener for this legacy click closes. So in this case, it will close because it's a one-to-one relationship. If this was a one-to-many, yes, we would have to be very careful about the context, otherwise you get bubbling events. Yep. Really good question. Cool. Was that it? Yeah. I mean, I guess I can show it. We saw it already, but it's very ugly. But yeah, all right. So if I go to open legacy dialog, let me shrink this console. Okay, open legacy dialog, we see it, it's sitting over content sort of, you can kind of see it overlapping. Again, very ugly and a gray color I didn't pick, which is fun. But then, so the focus you'll see forced itself into that first input field, which is because of our keyboard trap that we fired on that click event of the button. We're on the first input field. We can then tab our way through the interactive elements in the page. I'm on submit. I'm on the close button, which is likely our last one in our keyboard trap function. If I tab again, it'll go back up to input 1. So again, there's probably like a background here that's supposed to obscure the other content of the page, all of that. Just imagine.
But now show me shift.
Yep. So let me go down a little ways. I'm in checkbox. Yeah, 3 submit button. I'll shift tab my way back up through the checkboxes, input 1, and then I'm down in the close button. So yep, I made a loop.
Victory.
Yeah, made a loop. Yeah, not too bad. So again, this is all default in that HTML version of this. Remember that. But there could be other reasons to implement a keyboard trap like this. There's a lot of user, especially in the highly functional interfaces that we're seeing now a lot more of, there's likely still a lot of reason to know how to make a keyboard trap, right? Because things will pop up, you'll have to deal with, you want your user to address whatever it is that appeared before they move on in some fashion so they don't get lost in the structure. Yeah, cool. Any other thoughts or feelings about that one? Hi. Welcome. This is JavaScript.
Oh, that's weird. I feel like the schedule's wrong.
Oh, is it? I'm here for 3 hours. That's all I know. All good. Okay, cool. Any other thoughts or feelings about this? Otherwise, I think we can take a break quick. It's been a bit.
Well, I wanted to ask just really quickly about the support for the native dialog element.
Yeah, we covered a little bit of that, but
I'm sorry I
yeah,
missed
no.
that part because.
Yeah, do you want do you have specific questions about
No.
it?
And I asked that question with myself.
Oh,
Muted on the Zoom, so I don't need that.
okay, perfect. Awesome. Yep. Yeah. So support. Yeah, support is pretty good. We pulled that up in Can I Use and the dialogue. I will share the deck. Yes, thank you, chat. It is not good right now, but I will share it once I clean it up. Yes, so dialog element is pretty well supported across most common browsers here. We did see some comments about how like later versions of iOS and Safari might be flaky on that.
Okay.
And then screen reader support and assistive text support is also pretty good across the board. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So again, backdating might still be a problem. So you might want to think about the support structure if you degrade backwards, if that feature's not available, or build it upwards. Yeah, which is a lot of work to do for the same thing, right? So I don't know. Depends how you want to support it. It's always the dilemma. But yeah, good question. All right. Any other thoughts or feelings about modal dialog windows? Do we all just hate them and we don't want to ever do them again? It's cool. All right, cool. Okay, let's take a quick, I don't know, do you want like 15, 20 minutes? 15? 15, we'll kind of slow start off of 15. Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, at 10:30, meet back if you feel like it. It's cool. I think we'll start with one of the design reviews of like a real functional site, because I kind of want to get your thoughts and feelings about that. So yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah, thanks. See you in a bit. All right, so for those on the chat, we just had an interesting conversation about multiple dialogues and how we might have multiple open at any point in time, and figured out that show modal method actually makes it the fully blocking experience. So that's what puts it into a keyboard trap by default and prevents you from accessing any of the other content behind it. If you just do the show method that's built into the dialog element, it will actually just be a normal dialog, not a modal dialog where it's blocking functionality. So we were able to kind of still access the content behind it with this show method, which is interesting. So there are probably different use cases for, wanting to have multiple dialogues open at a time. Might be very maintenance heavy, but interesting that the method that you choose to activate the modal with the HTML version of the dialog element has an impact on how that how the default functionality works. So kind of cool. I want to do one more experiment before we really start again. Take that out. So we've got 2 HTML dialog buttons. I'm going to launch the first one. Yeah, focus order. Interesting. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to do that again. That was fascinating. So, refresh my page. I'm going to tab through my buttons here. I'm going to open this first HTML dialog with an Enter key, and my focus is forced into that dialog that just opened. So I'm on the first input field, etc. I can tab out of it, past the close button into the background experience, so the content behind that dialog window now. I'm on my second dialog button, and I can activate that on top of the other one. And then because I used the show method on that one too, I can still access everything in some nightmarish layer situation. Don't recommend doing this, but there could be a use case for many dialogues open at any time. And then I bet you could so let's say that second one was a timeout warning or something where you needed someone to interact with it. Then you would just do that show modal here. Right? So I'd launch my first one, can interact with everything outside of it, launch the second one, and now I can only interact with that one that's sitting on top. So interesting. Same implementation, just one different method, and can kind of control the experience that way. It's kind of cool. And then it comes back, and then I can do this. Yeah, interesting. Cool. That was fun. Excellent. Okay. Ready to dive back in? Yeah, cool. And we're done at 11:30. Is that correct? Somebody have the schedule open? I just want to be mindful of everybody's time since y'all are troopers. 11:45. Ooh, okay. So we got another hour. Awesome. Well, cool. I have way too many examples. That's what I've learned. I over-prepare, which is cool because that was an interesting conversation. That was really fun, actually. And I think we learned some things. So I'm going to switch back to, let me go back to that landing page. Okay. So for the sake of those of us that maybe don't want to be in the code constantly, I do have slides that follow that kind of walk through the steps of this as well. So I'll clean those up and get those posted with everything else too. But I think we covered all of that within looking at the code. So what I want to do next for those, excitement. Let's not look at code for a second. Let me slide over. All right, this is the one I want to do first. Let's do a design review. Let's talk about this highly interactive experience. Trigger warnings exist for this too, so please be mindful if you get nauseous looking at lots of motion or off-axis scrolling, because this will definitely has it. But this is a really cool website. This is one of those storytelling websites, highly functional experiences I was talking about. I pulled all of these examples off of the awards, AWWW, These are all award-winning websites for interactivity. So I highly recommend playing around with that. It's kind of fun to see what the marketers and agencies are doing out there. A lot of stuff is way more advanced than what we're talking about, like WebGL and using canvas elements and all of that. We're not going there, but it's cool to think about. They also, in the awards rankings, they do have an accessibility line item in their ranking system or scoring system. I am perplexed as to how they're assessing accessibility, because everything I've looked at, I'm kind of like, wow, rock concert next door. I don't see anyone concerned. Okay, we're gonna keep going. There's a big noise in the room. Sorry, chat. But yeah, so we're gonna look at this site first. This is the National Geographic Intro to the Amazon kind of landing page. These are really cool. They have a series of these. But again, trigger warnings. There's a lot of motion, fly-throughs, in fact, of a map. It's pretty cool, but could make you sick. And off-axis scrolling all over the place. So what I want you to keep in mind as we're going through this and thinking about it, the things I noticed anyway that I would bring up if I was the accessibility person reviewing this, would be, how do we reduce the motion, or how do we create a low motion experience first and then move into this experience? They use a map as navigation, which I found really cool because I'm a nerd. So I'm like, that's really interesting, but maps are inherently difficult to make accessible. So curious to see everybody's opinions, and maybe we can explore how they implemented this. And then they have these keyboard access story panels, which are questionably working. So we'll take a look at that. But cool. Trigger warnings abound. Let's be ready. Cool. All right. So we had some fade in happen. We're on the landing page. There's just a piece of text up here, just kind of setting the scene. I'm not going to read it, but it is, I tried this with a screen reader and it did actually come through. I'm not exactly sure how, because it's from a Canvas element. So that's interesting. I need to learn more about Canvas, that's for sure. But essentially it's telling us we have some visual reference to where we are in the scroll here, and there's also a button for a map up top. But I'm gonna go for the scroll experience. I'm gonna scroll downwards. As I do, it fades out, more text appears, and it kind of fades in and out, and you have to be very precise about where it exists in its most high contrast space. It's very small tolerance there for that. So that's one thing I kind of would note probably for this. Keep scrolling. It continues to fade in and out text, but again, it's still that very small window of space where it's high contrast. There's also a little moving, I don't know if you can see it on the projector, but there's little moving snowflakes video in the background. It's very subtle, so it's probably not a big deal, but very small amount of movement always happening in the background here. And centered text is not very accessible. Yes, thank you, Russell, on the chat. Totally agree. So as I scroll into the Amazon, fades in, and then we have this background image that then scrolls upwards. It is a mountain covered in snow. And then some clouds appear, more text appears, but this one is actually high contrast, so that's cool, but centered, like you said, could be a problem. Excuse me. Keep scrolling. We have some text that appears and images that appear. Let's check out them. They're in a Canvas element, so I don't think we'll have access to it. But it would be interesting, maybe, oops, and I went into a different, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So would be curious to run through this with a screen reader if somebody with more experience than me has with this. That might be interesting to know how it comes through, if those images are just decorative, for instance. And then we have a button for view gallery here that is yellow, and my least favorite color in the world, but it's National Geographic. But yeah, that border is really difficult to see. I can tab to it, however. So it does have focus indication, so that's good. Cool. Yeah. Oh.
So
Or are you on? Yeah.
you mentioned that the text in the background is in a canvas, and so you thought
the text is in a Canvas element, so you thought DevTools probably isn't going to be able to check the contrast of it. I wondered if you could check it in Firefox DevTools, because I know their color checker is much more robust.
Yeah, we can try it. Let's see how outdated my Firefox is. Let's just see from where we are right here if we can pull that up. Good question. I hardly ever use Firefox.
I mostly just use it for color.
I'm just stuck in my ways.
And no, if you actually say accept the accessibility principles, so yeah, it's gonna be that. And then you have to check far to the left, the little accessibility checker, like next to the inspector, all the way to the left in the DevTools.
All the way to the left. Sorry, I was on, for whatever
That
reason,
little button.
backwards. Okay.
And that's what you use to check text. No.
Nope.
Not check. Okay.
Nope.
That's good to know.
Yep, Canvas is a locked element right now. Yeah, I haven't honestly played around a lot with Canvas element, so yeah, there's a lot in there that is difficult. It's really difficult for us as like consultants and analysts to test Canvas elements. So a lot of these require heavy manual testing, right? To assess any of these sorts of experiences, because we have no active dev tools that can penetrate that yet, right? And I'm a dev tool person over like a manual check person. I'm not a tester. That's why I'm avoiding coming on to VoiceOver or anything like that, because I fumble. I'm not good at it. I have a team that does that, not me. But yeah, so I'm heavily relying on other testers to tell me these things, because I can't find them. I can't find the answers in dev tools, which is difficult. So, yep. Yeah, I wish I knew more tricks, totally honestly. Okay, cool. So, yeah, even this button, I don't think we'll be able to find in here. Oh, yep, no, that's overlaid on top. So that is able to be, and then you're getting a preview. It goes into a mobile view, so you're going to get a little preview of what's going on. But, yep, there is a button overlaid on top of the Canvas element, it looks like, that faded in, that does contain actual HTML text. But I don't believe it has, I hate that, it automatically goes into this. Okay, spoiler, don't look, okay. Don't look, okay, there we go. Yes, so let me go inspect this guy. Yep, view gallery, circle, I'm gonna doubt it has the proper roles. No name. No roles, and we're outside of that button at this point, I believe. Oh, maybe not.
Not quite.
Oh, okay, it is. It is a link. Look at that. Look at them. I'm shocked. Okay, there we go. So it is an actual link overlaid on top of this Canvas element. So the background experience is still going. That's part of attached to our scrolling situation, and then they've overlaid HTML that animates based on keyframes up on top of that. So again, nightmare to assess for us. Okay, let me scroll again. Sorry, sickness. Sorry. Whoop, yep, okay. So now we have off-axis scrolling happening. So we get through these pictures. We do have a button to go to this gallery. We'll test that out later, but I want to keep with this scrolling adventure. And it kicks us off to the right on a timeline. So it's like horizontal scrolling, but I am still vertically scrolling, which I guess is interesting, but could be really confusing for navigationally. So I'm vertically scrolling right now on my trackpad. And we also have animating numbers in the background here, overlaid with text, questionable size and contrast for all of these.
What happens if we resize this 40%, soon 40%?
Oh, it's going to go into mobile view. I can already tell you that. So I'll.
Should be able to view it without scrolling in 2 directions?
So I'm technically not scrolling in 2 directions. So this is maybe one of those big old caveats that we need to make a decision about. It is visibly scrolling horizontally, but I am functionally scrolling vertically. Yeah. It's really weird. But yeah, I'm just gonna browser zoom in here, but it's gonna hit the mobile breakpoints. I believe. Yeah. So it did hit the mobile breakpoint, so it's going to display things ever so slightly different. Oh, we're not there yet. Wait. Okay, spoilers. So yeah, it did make the text slightly bigger. It's still not great, totally honestly. So let me zoom back out. Oh, where am I? Yep, okay. So we took a hard right turn in our scrolling visibly. We're going through a timeline horizontally, but I am scrolling vertically still. We've got some floating text boxes, animating backgrounds. We're back on kind of a title landing with a read article button. Again, that's probably the same button. It looks the same to me, which is good. That means it's a semantic link. We can maybe find it. Prepare yourself. Ready? Ready? Okay, we were just scrolling horizontally. I'm still scrolling vertically on my trackpad, and now we're going downwards at a weird right angle, and now we're going down again. And some photos floated up, and we have another gallery button again, same implementation of that, which is good. Background still animating. We're now like in the lower mountains area, clouds. It says "Welcome to the cloud machine." Cool. We have some text, white text fading in.
And all that parallax in the background is going to be.
Oh, just wait.
Showing people.
Oh, just wait.
No.
Yeah, okay, so we've got kind of a mountain range below us in the background that's been kind of floating and animating. There's clouds that are constantly moving in this. You'll notice that's like an animation just looping over the top, and as we scroll, it kind of rotates and is going to fly in. Prepare yourself. So then we have some more images and white text, very low contrast situation when it overlaps with the clouds. And as I'm scrolling, that topographic rendering in the background is coming further into view. And we're going to fly into it as we scroll. So we're flying through a topographic map now with some GPS locators, periodically kind of floating in the sky above it. And we're going to fly through all of these valleys as I scroll. Oof. So, and then we have these panels that will pop up with some interesting facts about that kind of GPS locator that appears as we're flying through.
And you're still just scrolling.
I am just
down.
still scrolling. Yeah, I'm just still vertically scrolling. That looks as accessible as some of the Flash sites I used to make. Same. So I was also a Flash developer. Yes, this is accurate. Okay, so I'm scrolling, and it's really touchy, I will say, especially on a trackpad. It will just suddenly go on you when you're scrolling, so it could be very disorienting very quickly. I'm kind of holding back right now. Yeah, so we're flying through some mountains, more locators, more floating bubbles of information as we scroll. Kind of, yep, kind of like Luke Skywalker here, yeah. Yeah, racing through some mountains. It twists and it goes up the hills. It's fascinating. Like this is technically very fascinating, and it twists. And we're going upside down a little bit. And we're still scrolling, still flying, more bubbles of information running through this topographic map that we're zooming through. Yeah, we're just going to keep going. Keep going. And then we get to a place where this title screen comes back up and our fly-through is over. So, Bears of Cloud Forest, read the article. Again, same button implementation. I'm going to keep scrolling vertically, and we get a little bit more data, more articles to read. So it's interesting that they're repeating the patterns at least, right? So if they could make this pattern accessible, it could be very easy to implement something, right? That isn't, yeah, right.
Keyboard, do you get these flying bits of information?
Really good question. I can scroll with the keyboard like a normal scroll, and it does seem to do. I'm going to go back up to the fly-through. Just bear with me. Bear with me, I'm sorry. Because because that one was the most dramatic. Oof, backwards, worse. Okay. So I'm just gonna use my like down arrow and see if it's similar. But yeah, it's a little jumpier, but it does fly through with the keyboard. So it's just based on the browser's scroll. They've hidden all of the scroll bars though, so they're forcing you through this experience, which is interesting. Yeah. Okay, so that scroll works. The tab, I will notice that the tab, if you just tab through the page, it will just jump to the next button. So these yellow buttons that are appearing all over, it'll just jump to them, but it'll be kind of like half in, half out. Yeah, yeah, it's not the best experience. Okay, so we got floating things up here. More same pattern as before. We're just floating in these article titles. Oh, yeah. Okay. Then we go into this animal. They've got a bunch of birds and animals that they're pointing out in the Amazon basin. And again, we were scrolling vertically, peacefully, normally. Now we're going to take another hard right turn, kind of diagonally downwards. It is kind of cool that these are independently kind of shifting on top of the background. So it's like multiple layers of background that are shifting, parallax a little bit. So yes, we are now scrolling kind of at a downward right angle, even though I am physically scrolling the same vertically. And it's going to kind of jog around in this kind of jarring pattern. So let me start again, and you can see how like disjointed that is if I continue to scroll in a smooth way, right? It kind of like takes a Z effect there. It's difficult. Then we've got this beautiful illustration that we landed on. We're now scrolling vertically again. We've got some text on some animals. Again, that white text is kind of difficult. Got a school of, yeah, right. Well, it's because the background is so diverse, right, that they're using the same pattern over and over again. So that white text across some of these backgrounds is just not good enough. Got a school of fish that comes up. Fun. Same yellow buttons, which is good. Again, repeatable pattern. That's excellent. Oh yeah, the zoom text. Look at that. Okay, so we go into this rains in the forest. As I'm scrolling up, the text kind of appears from the bottom and then zooms in and then disappears really quickly. And again, that tolerance for that is so touchy and small. So it's like, could they have extended that just a little? Probably. Like, that would be better. Yep, and then just keeps appearing text-wise. Okay, this one, yeah, again, prepare yourself. And this is all one page. I do want to point that out. I have not changed URLs. This is all in one page. This is functionality in one singular page. So fascinating. A lot of this is, again, a animation engine running this background, and they've just attached it to the scrolling. That's just running through this very large stage. And then they can time things to keep frames within that. So it's JavaScript heavy, yes, but it is kind of special in that case. They're not doing all of this with front-end JavaScript. So we've got the pulse showing up, and now we have this dot forest that appears that we're going to zoom straight into as I scroll. Again, still scrolling vertically. And you're just going to fly through this dot matrix tree situation and take some hard turns within the tree canopy. So I'm already sorry. But we also then have these boxes coming up, and now they have buttons in them. So we have this floating information that we have to interact with as we're animating through this. So moving targets, that's interesting. And it's going to zoom around, and it's going to zoom around. And then we're back out to, so we came out of the forest animation and scrolling kind of vertically, but it's kind of panning the camera around in the background. And then I'm getting into this landing screen again, and I am scrolling vertically, but it is scrolling horizontally visually. Through, again, kind of a timeline situation. More buttons, going to take a hard right turn and go vertically again, downward. So again, again, a lot of the repeated patterns of this. It's fascinating in a way, but like nightmarish in another. Let's see where we get to. And then we go back to the floating text that fades in, and then we got our credits. Yep, and then it circles us right back up to the top.
Oh, so we could go down forever.
Yeah, yep. So as I hit the bottom credits, it pushed me back to the beginning of that. It kind of just forced you back, right? Like it kind of scrolled you back up to the top of the page without your input.
Yeah, like keyboard trap, but
A little bit,
trap.
yeah. Yep.
Equal experience, right?
Yep. Great experience. Yeah, keyboard traps. Love them. Yep. So that's the main default experience of this website. How do we feel about that? Any comments? We'll pass the mic to anybody who wants to chime in. But anything you noticed about that you're like, no, or just everything about it?
Was there anything? Was there anything that we were like, no? Everything was perfect.
Everything's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I will. Let's. If we do the tabbing through this is kind of interesting. And actually, okay. Let me start back up at the top. So it goes to the map. So I'm still at the top of the page because it forced me there. It will tab through a bunch of things that are just off screen. So you'll notice kind of at the bottom here, I'm tabbing through all those buttons right now, and it's not scrolling to them. So annoying. Yep.
And that's it?
Oh.
You're back to the URL bar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it didn't move.
Doesn't move the focus with the tabbing features. Yeah. So yeah. However, let's check out the map because they're actually using the map as navigation in this, which again isn't the default experience. They want that fly-through effect. But if I access the map, which is keyboard accessible, I did just use my keyboard there. It does bring up this map, and it does have all of those floating yellow buttons that were in the fly-through as items in this experience. So that is kind of cool. They are doing it in multiple ways, right? That's one of our tenets of this industry. And these are, I'm able to move my keyboard focus down into them, which is good. It does scroll the map around as I get to things that are outside of the default view of that map.
So if you hit enter.
Yeah.
What happens when you hit enter on one of those
Go up to
map features?
I don't want to go to that one. I want to go to this one. I've been playing around with this a bit. So if I go to this one, I'm going to hit enter. It will highlight it on the map for me. It also does bring up that view gallery button that was at that landing page for it. So it's the same button as it was in the fly-through experience. I don't think there's anything clickable over here.
And it's vibrating.
Yeah, it pulses. That's honest. Okay, so I made so many speaking of Flash websites, I made so many bad Flash websites back in the day that had that little like pulse effect because it was so easy to do with keyframes. So I'm guilty of that pattern in the past. I don't do it anymore. But anyway, that was an aside. So I can then go into this view gallery. The focus line is real weird because of that pulsing and stuff, but whatever. That's a moderate annoyance. It's there, yeah, that's the point. I'll hit enter. It fades out and it will bring me into that article panel. So that's actually pretty good. It's not great, but it's good. Yeah, Yes, okay, so then we get into these articles, which are different. So now you'll notice that the actual URL changed. So I'm on a different page of this website. So I'm in Aquatic Life in Paradise. These are all, again, also repeatable. They're for the most part, mixing and matching the similar patterns in this template structure as well. But again, we got white text on varied background. It's really hard to read, firstly. I'm going to start scrolling and vertically. I'm scrolling vertically, and we're going to slide over horizontally, visually in the browser.
Is it still Canvas stuff, or is that text?
Good question. Let's check. This is not Canvas. This is actually HTML that they're doing this with.
Can you go to area label of the image?
Which one?
Scroll down.
Oh, over the image?
Yeah. The DOM, can you scroll down the DOM?
Mhm. Yep.
So it's area label, and nothing is assigned to it.
Where is that? Where am I missing that?
So these are
Oh, yeah, look at that.
these
Yeah.
are background images, but they don't have any
Yeah.
text, essentially.
Somebody made an attempt and failed.
Yeah.
That one. They also did like an ARIA implementation of role image, which I don't.
Right,
You could just use an image. Yeah.
Well, they might have some limitations. They tried, but area label, and then it's empty.
Empty. Yeah. Yep. So like, if you look at it, it has no name. Yeah. No alternative text description for that. Yep.
And it has a caption, so it could be like, proper image with caption.
Yeah. I'm gonna bet it's not.
Um,
Yeah. This is just a paragraph.
it's not assigned, not related.
Nope. It's still in the same section element. But then not associated. We've got this in a different section element. It's got its own brand new section for an image for some reason. So cool.
What's inside of that div
This one?
with the role of image?
Div, of course.
Another div. Yeah.
We got a div that's the expand button. Yeah, the expand.
Expand.
So they're doing a lot of work, right? They're making all their own custom elements here instead of using semantic roles and stuff. And let's see if I can even get to that. Oh, it's gonna scroll real hard. Be ready. Okay. Oh no, it didn't. Oh, that was fun. So oh, it is a button. Look at that.
With area label.
With-
View light box. How many
And then
view
it
light box
uses the
buttons are on this page?
Probably a couple.
And I bet it doesn't open a dialog.
No, very likely not. Let's see what it opens. Oh no.
Oh. What?
Well, that
That's not
might
what I was
be.
expecting.
That was not what I expected either. Sorry, try not to cough in the mic. Yeah, so it opened this dialog box, or what supposedly is. Let's see.
Looks like a gallery, but it looks like this might be more, usable.
Mhm.
It's image with text, static.
Yep.
There's still that canvas.
But they're presenting this one in the canvas
Oh.
element.
Scratch that. Yeah.
So again, we can't actually see how we're gonna have to manually test this to make sure that functionality is, that text and stuff is available, because I can't even select this text in the interface.
In Firefox, you could review the shadow DOM, and you can review what is in the canvas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have that turned on, I don't think. Oops, wrong thing, sorry. Yeah, we could do that over here, but to not get in the weeds. This is JavaScript, right? We're talking about JavaScript, sorry. Going down rabbit holes.
Well, JavaScript made this
It's true.
possible.
No, I know, and this is the dilemma for us, right? Where we're going to, as consultants, as people in this industry, we're going to have to give instruction for how to make this accessible or something like this accessible. So it is worth playing around with like this, and just thinking about this, because it's more common. It's much more common these days. Cool. It looks like the buttons are placed as HTML buttons again on top of the canvas element, so that's at least good because I can access them. So I'll hopefully close that again, and it animates over. Again, slides back over. Again, I'm still scrolling horizontally, or scrolling vertically, but it's visually scrolling horizontally.
I would note that for the DOM, view, the previous and next buttons are still in the DOM. They're not
Yes.
hidden.
Yep. Correct.
You can still tap to them.
Yeah.
Try to set the reduce animations setting.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I was gonna do that next. Yep. Yeah. So these articles are kind of formatted in the same way. We've just got kind of floating images and stuff going by, some text. If we go to continue exploring, it brings us back to that place in the fly-through. So it doesn't bring us back to the map that we launched it from, which is not great. And so we have to go back to the map, start over again, get back into it.
Go all the way down.
So, yeah. So clearly prioritizing the fly-through experience versus the map. So I wish it did have some sort of sense about where it launched you from, where you could send it back, and have some sort of memory there. So yeah, that's what that is. But all these are about the same. All these articles are about the same. I just found it interesting that they're using the map as navigation, essentially. And it's not the worst. It does get you to the articles and the kind of content, deeper content of this fly-through without the shiny object.
But that's because geographics, like for them, map is the navigation.
The map, yeah, exactly. National Geographic, this is a priority for them.
It's there.
Yep, fits their vibe, for sure. Yeah, let me put reduce motion on, and we'll see what happens. Close out of that. Back up at the top. Cool.
Website explodes.
Oh, probably. Let's try. Where'd my system settings go? Oh, right there. My guess is that too. All right, so let's go. Oops. Oh yeah, please feel free.
There was a workshop on testing with users with disabilities, and Kate, the instructor, shared that when they did test with users who do have motion sensitivity, many of the users mentioned that they never even heard of they haven't heard about the OS level settings to reduce motion, and they just kind of struggle through it.
Yeah.
So that's something that even though we recommend to respect that,
Yeah.
but there are many users who don't know about it.
Yeah, I have found that too. And it is different, obviously, per OS and per device and per everything. So yeah, it's a little bit of an education thing. It is kind of buried in accessibility settings too, with all the other stuff, and it's maybe reduced motion isn't specific enough. So I don't know, do some education around that. Okay, so I toggled it on in my system settings. I'm on a Mac, if that wasn't obvious. Okay, so I refreshed my page. I've got reduced motion set on. I'm gonna start scrolling. You ready? It's exactly the same. It's gonna take a hard right, and yeah.
The numbers that go back.
Did they?
Those numbers were animated.
It's still dead. Still dead.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed. Let me bring up the map. Let's see. Nothing fades in. As I pans for me.
They're just not using any.
Buttons are pulsing.
motion settings.
No, they're just not. They're not. They're totally ignoring it. Yep. So then, just same. Oh, expanding videos. You didn't know you wanted that, right? In your life?
I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna stop making people sick now. Yes. So reduced motion didn't do anything. End of the story there. That's for sure. So, yeah. How do we feel about that? Can we see where some maybe like progressive enhancement techniques could be applied here, right? Where we're having maybe that map be more static at its base, or at least with the feature sensing we can do. Be like if your preferred reduced motion is on, maybe don't animate everything or something.
Is there a way to pause the video?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna close it.
But it's also like.
Oh yeah, no, there's no controls on any of this. No, absolutely not. Oh wait, I take it back. They do have a pause button. That one had it. On this one, the fly-through didn't have any sort of pausing. No, yeah. So I'm kind of surprised by that. What's that? I'm curious now how they're delivering that. Yeah, it's a button. And then as the back, I don't know where the video player is. That's fascinating.
There might be not like a background image.
It might be a background.
It might be a background video. Then they're doing a lot of JavaScript work to get that stopped.
Imagine you've been hired You are on board in National Geographic, and you are tasked to make updates.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What if you were tasked to make updates to this page? Yeah. Yeah. What a nightmare, right?
There's not also audio with it. So because they like went all in.
I actually don't know if I tested with audio. Ooh, do I want to? Oh, I'm scared.
Like animal noises or underwater
Or
sounds.
wind or something.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm getting looped voice here. Hang on. Sorry about that. Where's my Zoom controls? Oh, I should be muted. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna go back to the main experience. I'm gonna scroll a little bit, see what happens. And I'm gonna be quiet. Okay.
That's your feedback.
Sorry. There is audio in this too, yeah. More of a nightmare. Yeah. Cool. That's probably getting in the way of screen readers, right?
That wasn't audio feedback, just from.
No, that was the raindrops.
Oh.
Let me go back. I'm gonna go back to that forest fly through. Let's hear that.
And it's better on mobile.
Is it better on mobile?
No, the same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay. Same on mobile, just smaller.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, I think it's this one. Oh, yep, we got a guy talking in this one. Here we go. Oh, that's feedback. Okay, come on. That one's feedback. How can I stop feedback? Yeah.
Go ahead and,
Can we mute the... Oh, it's probably my mic. I can mute my mic.
Yeah.
I'm back. Hopefully with less feedback. Cool. Yeah, so that's, I mean, this site's probably loaded with audio too, audio indication as well. Yeah, fun. So yeah, they're doing a ton of JavaScript work, right, in this. So thinking about how, if we're tasked with updating this, what sort of techniques can we pull from some of these other patterns and things we do to like auto pause or reduce motion or, yeah, there's just a lot of techniques we could apply here. But it would be easier if we were starting this project with those things as the baseline and then slowly increasing that functionality. Yeah, opting into that functionality instead. Okay, I'm gonna close that now. Oh, we got a question. Okay, can we get the mic?
Sort of interested in your opinion on thinking of a progressively enhanced approach to this site. Like, do you start with all the context? Text is like text on a page and like interesting images, as I was like scrolling through this, it almost felt more like I was just having manual control of a video, and would it make sense in some cases to actually just have it be a video with really, really good captioning to the video instead?
It could be. Yeah, I mean, this does play very much like a video. So as an alternative format, you could present it in that fashion and automatically have an off ramp for the folks that want that, right? So some sort of button or link to that experience versus this one. Kind of similar to how they have their Explorer versus Map buttons here. Kind of two separate experiences. Let's make an off ramp for somebody to experience that. Feature enhancement wise, I would say, yeah, I would pull all that text out of Canvas and put it as HTML layers because they can clearly do it, right? So why it's like a combination of Canvas text versus HTML text that's keyframed in. I don't know what the difference makes to them. It's probably just who made the thing. The individual thing had that preference. I would just make it more consistent so that at least the HTML text can be parsed by a machine, a screen reader or something. Because then with reduced motion activated, you just kind of remove those background images or videos, the fly-through pieces, maybe make that a separate thing they can access, and then present that text content more in a flat experience for folks. Yeah.
It didn't trigger the reader mode.
Trigger the reader mode?
Oh, there's no reader mode option?
Or if we can check it in Firefox, probably not. So for the longer, no. Usually, normal websites with text would trigger the reader mode. So
Okay.
you can strap all of the
Oh, yep. Okay. So normal websites would trigger that reader mode where you could
like
flatten it.
longer websites, articles.
Yep. Nope. It's not.
Canvas.
It's not in reading the canvas. Of course, it's a kind of a locked space, but it's also not enough actual HTML text to be an article. In this case, right? That it senses that. You could probably force it somewhere. I haven't done this in a while. No, you can't. Can you? That's right. There used to be a button. Yeah, it might not be available. Yeah.
But
Totally.
if they take it out and make it into HTML,
Yeah.
potentially.
Potentially.
Reader mode would
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So like a reader mode option would be awesome.
be great, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So fun. Yep.
So with a site like this that has so much, their preferred journey is very graphical and motion based and stuff. You are saying you would recommend as an accessibility professional, you'd recommend to them that they start with a basis of just HTML text that they want in there, and then add all of these things as progressive enhancements. Would you recommend they have a button that says, I want the visual experience, but start people in the non-visual experience, or like the like what's the
way.
recommendation?
Either way, in that case, I'd say, and it will depend on what the goal is, right? So all goes back to that, like, what is your goal of this experience, right? If it's to purchase something, this is a nightmare, right? Like, that is not going to be usable for anybody. If it is storytelling, this is storytelling, right? The visual experience may be the precedent, but giving somebody like that reduced functionality in the map, for instance, right? So like that map you come across very early in the source order, you could make that map, once you open it, have some sort of like, I want the low-fi version of this, right? Like you could have that feature degradation in this case, just because of the way this is being delivered.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And again, there's no right or wrong answer for the progressive enhancement versus like graceful degradation conversation. I just prefer the building features myself, but in this case, because the story is the most important part, the graceful degradation might make more sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like they offer something that gives you like a different way to view like the table of contents to the article. They give you the map view, which lets you tab through, but you don't have a simplified way to view the articles. Like if the content is important you know, maybe once I go through and say like, okay, this is cool that you can fly through and it does the side scrolling. But if I actually wanted to read what the article was, I do not want to.
No, you don't want that.
Side scrolling thing. That's like super annoying. I'd rather just see them. It's National Geographic. I like to see their pictures.
Yeah.
And if they have text, I want to read the text.
Yep.
I don't want to just like. One time through, it's cool to see, but then I would never want to come to like read any of these articles. There's like 20 articles or something in there. There's like a ton of content.
Ton of content.
I can't imagine if for a second time through I'd ever want to like scroll through the whole Amazon to see like to read like an article.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, having a fast path to the content piece. And that's going to be the more accessible piece anyway, right? If we make it HTML text, makes sense for all users of this, especially repeat users of this, because there's no way I'm going through all the content of this site in one day.
Yeah.
There's no way. I don't have that amount of time. Right? So I'm going to surf through this and be like, ooh, that's really cool. I'm going to remember that for later. But I'm going to have to go through this journey every single time to get to it, right? Not to mention it is not very accessible for any other machine coming at it or assistive tech coming at it. Yeah.
Does the page search work? Control F?
Probably.
Yeah. Ooh, let's. I need to remember a term to search. Bears of Cloud Forest. Okay, ready? I'm gonna close that. Whew, that performance hit too. Just see how slow that was.
Yeah.
Could be my power saving mode too. Whoops. Bears. Nope. Nothing.
It's not HTML.
Nope. And let me make sure I'm back in the fly through. I think I am.
And there
Yeah.
is no search functionality as well. So even if you come in that and
Right.
get something specific.
Yep.
you
Nothing.
have to dig.
Oh, well, okay, it's finding cloud, but, oop. It found some HTML text in the map fly through, so it zoomed me there. I'm sorry, I should have given you a warning about that. And so it will find some of the HTML text, but it is sporadic at best, because I'm tabbing through. They found 10 in Control F. Nothing's happening. Number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the only one that does anything. Sorry about that. And 10. So I found that word 10 times, but
And it didn't find the article.
no, it didn't find the article. It found this little floating bubble in the map fly through. Yeah.
Do you have automated testing like Axe installed?
I have Site Improve because I work for Site Improve. No, it's all good. I use Axe occasionally too. Ooh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious what the accessibility score is because I understand this.
Yep. Let me.
Some sites are so inaccessible, they're like no roles. There's just babes. Basically get a perfect score.
Well, this one is Canvas.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
why-
Canvas, so it won't check Canvas.
So it might
Hey,
be a great
maybe it's only
score.
one there. Easily fixable.
Only
Just replace the
10.
canvas and build something.
It's a perfect website.
Yeah, it's AAA. It's fine. Yeah, we've got some best practices missing. That's pretty normal. Color contrast for some of the HTML text, I bet, on opacity. Yeah, it's not the Chrome extension is limited for site, any of these check systems, but Site Improves. If we put this in the platform for Site Improve, we can check Shadow DOM. So there's a maybe potential we can find stuff in the canvas elements, but with this is probably one flat video that's tied to the scroll, right? So there's probably no redeeming content in that outside of a video file.
If AI can really do accessibility, it will find something like this. But this test, code analysis, just can't find it.
Can't find it. Yep, not today anyway. Until we unlock that canvas element a little bigger, a little better. But yeah.
By 2027, according to Carl.
Really?
Well, he
Okay.
said the opening address.
Oh, I missed it. I flew in last night, so I had to miss it, unfortunately. I'll ask Carl next time I see him. I know Carl pretty well. We'll go to barbecue. He'll tell me all about it. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you for humoring me in that adventure. I think we only have about, 15 minutes left. Cool. Since we were just talking about reduced motion, do you want to do the reduced motion example? Okay, I'm going to close this. Everybody cheer. It's gone. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's talk about how do we sense for that reduced motion, right? So let me make sure I toggled that back off in my system setting. Yep. Okay, so I do not have prefers reduced motion on currently. Let me go back to my examples real quick. Cool. So I'm in reduced motion empty right now, not the completed version. We can hop over if we run out of time. But let me run you through what I have set up in this. Let me scroll quick because make sure I did the things I meant to do yesterday. Yes. Yeah, this morning. Let's be real. All right, yes. Okay, so what I've essentially done to set this up is that I have, these are really lo-fi examples, not fancy videos. I was trying to do like an autoplay video, but browsers actually can block from the video element anything with an audio track. So I don't have editing software today, so I was like, nah, forget that. We'll do that as a follow-up workshop. But so for this, really lo-fi examples of this, but we've got a button whose padding will expand and animate transition on hover, so mouse hover. Again, it's going to be very jarring, it's very large. And then I have a spinning awful gradient circle. Yes. This is what I've created. Yes. So let me show you what that looks like. Again, real ugly. Get ready. Yep. So we've got a button that animates as you hover over it with the mouse. It expands and changes black, the background black. And again, that's a mouse only event. Yeah, nothing happens on focus. We could tie those together, but we won't for today. Mouse only event here. And then I hid it in a disclosure because I didn't want this up all the time. So I hid it in a disclosure, but oh, it's not. Oh, yeah, because this was, I turned it off. That's why. So let me show you what that looks like. I just need to get my right class name onto my spinning awful gradient wheel. Great. Okay, now it's spinning. So I got a gradient that's like moving with the color in the background, right? Cool. Bad. Yeah, so this is the default state that I've set up. Kind of two separate ways we can go about sensing if someone has reduced motion on it. There's CSS media query we can access. There's also some JavaScript match media we can do. So we're going to just quick go through both with the time we've got left. So with the button, I want to be able to turn that off if I have that animation of the padding essentially in this button when I have prefers reduced motion on. And of course I want that spinning awful gradient wheel to not do that, to not exist. So I haven't done anything. I'm just going to toggle on reduced motion from my system settings. I'm going to refresh the page, and then we're going to see what happens. Nothing should be different. Yep, nothing changes. That animation still happens. My circle is still spinning, and I don't like it. So yeah, because we've done nothing. We've done no feature sensing or enhancement of any sort. So let's go back to our code. First one for this button, I actually wanted, it's a JavaScript, but we're going to look at how to do that in CSS for the button specifically. So we're going to write a prefers reduced motion media query. Media queries are feature sensing piece of tool we can use in CSS. It's beautiful. I love it very much. So what we're going to do in that media query is essentially just, let's see where we're at. So what did we do with the button? Button scale. So in this button scale, we have a transition property padding and set that padding to on hover like 150% padding. So we can essentially turn off this transition and that animation part will go away. And then we can set the padding to something reasonable or not do it, right? So going back to our media query, I've already written the media query, so it's at media parentheses prefers dash reduce dash motion. That's just the key for this particular feature that they've decided on. So what do we do?
Transition done.
Yeah. So spin was my button.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, sorry.
Spin animate.
That was my spinning wheel of death. What was my button named?
Oh, the button.
Button scale.
Scale.
Yep. So you do want to have the same selector that has that transition, the things you want to turn off. Otherwise, you're going to get into hierarchy problems. So button dash scale. Transition, none. So let's see what that looks like first. I'll set that back up, and I'm going to hover over it. So no animation, but the padding still happens. So we'll just turn off the padding too, and put it back to its standard. I think it was 30 pixels. We're going to find out.
Oh, can we insert or initial?
You could do initial, yeah. Let's try it. I can't ever spell it. That's my problem. Oops, S. There we go. Yep, you can do initial. Ooh.
Oh.
Nope. Oh, it goes all the way back. Yep, never mind.
Can't do initial.
I forgot about that. Yeah, because buttons have a default from the browser. So yeah, let's just go back to 30. And so, okay, I refreshed. I'm going to hover over it. No, okay, that didn't work. What did I do?
Did you?
Oh.
You turn your preferred motion off, right? Is your setting?
No. But let me. Oh, it is on. I did.
You turn it back.
Let me turn it back off, real quick. Wait, no.
No.
I want it on.
Because the animation
No,
was-
I know exactly what this is. Okay. Anybody? Anybody?
Teach us, Omar.
I'm setting the padding on hover, so I need to turn it off on the hover. Yep. So the button, the transitions on the button, the scale button, the hover needs its own
So
separate.
it doesn't cascade to the state.
It does not cascade. Correct.
Because hover overrides the.
Because hover is a pseudo state. Yep. There we go. That'll do it. Okay, reduce motion's on. I'm going to hover over the button. Yay, it just turns black. Okay? So we're sensing that actively, right? That's awesome. We can also do the inverse of prefers reduce motion too. Keep that in mind. So all of these media queries do have an inverse as well. So you could do a not produce, reduce, prefers reduce. Yeah, like a not. Yep. So we've successfully done that. And if I toggle back off reduce motion in my system setting, refresh, it's back. So again, 2 separate user experiences. We've reduced the motion for the person that prefers it. Awesome. That would help that last design review we did a lot. And that's just through CSS. So any CSS property, transition, animation, you can absolutely apply to that. Provide a different experience. Yeah. Anything? Go ahead.
Quick question. So you've been toggling the preferred motion in the system. There is a way to do it in Chrome DevTools as well. Is system more fail-safe way to make sure you're checking it, or?
System's more of the user's easiest option to do it, I would say. Because yeah, I think it was in DevTools, right?
Yeah,
I haven't done this one, but it's like an emulate.
It's a command, so you got to do.
Yeah.
Open FOP or.
Yep.
Control.
Yeah, I think it's an emulation of. Yeah. So I always
You just do
hit the signal. Yeah, I do. But the emulation is useful if I was wanting to emulate that on other user agents, potentially. Yep. Or features that don't exist. I don't use it much, to be totally honest. Oh, yeah. Good question.
Yeah, this feature is new to me. Is there any hard and fast rules for like what reduced motion means, like versus like completely eliminating it versus making it like slower?
There's no hard and fast rules at all with any of it. So it's really gonna depend on what you're building and what the animation is, or the movement or motion is. But it doesn't make any assumptions either. So it's not going to go find the things that are animating for you. You have to tell it specifically, like when prefers reduce motion is active and on, do this, otherwise do this, or vice versa, depending on how you. Oh, yep. Great question though.
I would just still get, probably the only rule that is for reduce motion and not reduce motion is still VHAC, because it's like the animations should settle within 5 seconds when on page load. It should not belong, like it shouldn't have any flashing, and they're allowed to do on a AA compliance. They're allowed to do some essential animation, but then I usually have when my designers come like, oh well, this essential, we want this.
It's essential because I want it.
And then there's a separate conversation what's considered to be essential, because React doesn't say that popping something up on the user beautifully is not.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's a good call. Yeah. Yeah. This is completely something that we have to dictate, right? Like that is part of this. We don't get this for free. There's no functionality. We have to explicitly say, turn this on, turn this off, modify this, depending on what settings are on.
Some users would go in browser settings, and for example, like Firefox has the preference.
Mm-hmm.
You can say all CSS transitions equals 0.
Yep.
And it forces the CSS.
Yeah, so there are different technologies that will force that functionality, like that reduced motion or reduce it in some way to the user's preference. Yeah. So there's a variety of user preferences out there across all the different browsers and tech that we interact with. Don't test them all, but test them all. Like test as many as are relevant to you. Yeah.
But that's why it's better to build it like from do
progressive enhancement. Yeah, exactly. Because you're still going to get an experience, even if those things don't exist. Yeah. Unlike if I turned off, I'm not going to go back to that page that we did a design review. But if I turned off JavaScript, there would be nothing on that page. Yep. Right. Again, that's not a common use case, but it's still something that could potentially happen. Or if you had a marketer that added a tag manager to that and threw an exception in JavaScript in your page, that page would come to a halt. There would be nothing. Yeah. There would be absolutely nothing there. Yep. Tag managers give people power to throw a wrench in your system, especially when it comes to JavaScript. So be prepared. I wonder how much time I have left before my battery dies. It's fine. We only have 1 minute left. Okay, cool. So really quickly, let's look at what the JavaScript side of that is with our spinning wheel of death in 1 minute or less. I'm gonna go to the completed one. We'll just talk through it because then we don't have to remember syntax. So essentially what we can do is find our spinning div wheel. Again, we're query selector there. I just had a different feeling that day instead of an ID. Yeah, cool. And then we have a conditional statement that reads, if reduced motion matches true, we can console log that is true just to see what that's doing when it's toggled on. Otherwise, we can sense that it is false and add the animation class. So this is actually where I am progressively enhancing versus degrading the experience, right? So I'm sensing that reduced motion is false, and I'm adding animation if it's false, in this case. So you can swap this. You can remove the class instead when it's true, and that'd be a graceful degradation approach. I decided to show the progressive enhancement for this. So make sure that's cool. I don't think I changed something. We're going to see if that fails. Let me go back to here really quickly. Reduce motion. Okay. I think I have it toggled off. Yes, system settings toggled off. We have our button that scales on hover still. We have our spinning awful, so we did apply it. So this is currently active. All of our animation and motion is active because my prefers reduced motion is toggled off. I'm going to go back to system setting, turn it on, refresh my page, and you'll see my CSS is reduced and my gradient is static. So again, this is the default experience for people who have that setting activated. And that's all through that quick little match media. Match media. Yeah, prefers reduced motion. Here's where we're sensing it. I kind of skipped that part, but it's a window match media prefers reduced motion. Reduced. That's how we're getting it. I save it to a variable, so I can just do a quick conditional statement on that. I skipped that part, sorry. But yeah, you can do the opposite. You can see no preference. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I just chose to put them both up here so we can see it. But prefers reduced motion, reduce, or no preference. Set a conditional statement based on that.
And does that work perfectly? Like JavaScript is able to see that prefers reduced motion media query perfectly, or does it miss it sometimes?
So far, I've seen it be very successful. I think it's very well supported. Again, it's been around for a while, so I wouldn't expect anything. Again, I'd test it across a couple different
Match media.
spaces, but yeah, this match media is essentially what CSS is doing, right? They're essentially doing the same thing, just JavaScript versus CSS. They're both going to the same feature set. Yeah.
I think it's a browser sensing the OS settings.
Yeah, there's a chain of command there, yeah. So if I set it in the operating system, the browser goes and queries the operating system and then passes that forward. If it's the browser itself, the operating system has nothing to do with it. The browser sets that property, and that is then passed forward. Yep.
Pretty reliable.
Yep. And then that passes to other machines that may parse it, right? Assistive tech or whatever. So. Cool. Well, we're over, but thank you all very much. This was fun. This was kind of an experiment for me to do this live like this, but I'm very happy you all stuck through it, and this was fun. So I like these experimental type things, and I had a bunch of different examples. I'll just post the deck, and you can play with it. They're really rudimentary, but it might be fun. So yeah, awesome. Thanks very much, everybody.